up and down, as well as this one can slide in and out. So you can literally tune the shifter however you want, which is independent of pretty much everything else, which is really cool. So let's get this thing in. Feels really good. So keep in mind we're like mid-throw on both, right? So that's your side to side. So there's neutral. That's already pretty short. And we're halfway, so we have 2 more settings to go. I don't really know if I want to go much shorter than that. The side to side feels good. The shifter in general feels good, dude. So I like where the QD shifter is. I think we're gonna go to like max short throw just to see what it feels like. I'm gonna leave it at 3 though, because it actually feels really nice. We're gonna loosen this. Oh, it went way up. Down. That's gonna give us the shortest possible throw ever.
Dang.
Dude, it's like nothing.
Oh, that's crazy.
It's like 1 inch. That's like almost that's too short. It's too short. It's cool, but it's too short. This shift setting would be like if you're in a race car and you have like a tall boy shift knob that was like up to here. If you're like up to here or something, then that would be like the shift setting you use for that. But for a normal short, like street style shifter, it's way too short. Up and down, boom, back to 3. That's a lot better. Let's get the center console back on. I'm ashamed to cover up that beautiful shifter called center console. This piece is freaking huge, man. The main piece of the center console is back in. We're gonna bolt it down, get all the rest of the stuff back on here.
Bro, this is very, very sick. It's like a step below Machi, but then it's short and you can feel every gear.
I hate like super nice. They're ridiculous. This one feels really good. I had it on the shortest throw setting. You have to have like a Viper.
Yeah, I like that.
It's sick. It's really cool.
I like that. This is sick.
Center console is almost fully back together. There's still a few pieces here that need to go on. Mickey's gonna be applying the carbon overlays with those pieces off the car, so I'm gonna leave them off for now. We gotta grab our shift knob, and I need to ask Mickey which one we should actually run, so let's go do that. Time to grab our collar and our assortment of shift knobs here. I think I'm gonna thread them all on and see which one I like. If you guys haven't seen our shift knobs, they are 3-piece, so this is the collar. We have a little set screw, so we're gonna thread that guy on. Got her nice and down. Now, of course, you can't see the throttle logo, so we're going to thread it back a little bit. And now we're going to tighten our set screw down. We're going to lock it into place, and then the logo will stay where we want it to, just like that. She ain't going anywhere. And now we're going to thread our knob on.
Ooh, the white.
White's kind of the look, man. I think that looks nice. Let's try one of our black ones. See how that looks.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, I like it. Don't get me wrong. It
But
just
the
kind of disappears into the background. Let's see if the bigger black one is better. Let's see if
Tall boy?
That's a look. Dude.
Give her a shift though.
That's the look. That's pretty good. Dude.
Nah, short white.
Short white? I'm going big white, dude.
No, short white.
Let's throw the big white on here.
We can do it, but shorty's the move. Ooh, that's good too.
I kind of think that's it, dude.
Nah, short white.
You think?
Yeah.
I'm in on this, dude. I'm in on the tall one. It's too tall?
Too tall for this car.
Going back to it. All right. All right, I'm in. That stays. Short white one it is. Beautiful. I'm gonna start working on our shifter cable bushings under the hood. I'm gonna hand the interior off to Mickey.
Looks sick.
Dude, give that thing a feel.
Yeah.
Dude. Oh yeah.
Let me give it the old Becky. Feels good to me. This is sick. Man, does it feel good. I want to go drive this car now, but I gotta put some carbon fiber in first. Simple as that. I just went ahead and pushed this down where all the tape is at, and it's a really nice solid adhesion. I can't pull it off. Looks beautiful. Now let's get the rest of the pieces on. So these are the side panels that go on either side of the audio system, like this. shifters in the middle here. So as you can see, this is what the factory piece looks like, and this is what it looks like now. Really nice quality and really tight fit.
So we work on this. This is our shift bushing upgrade. These go on the transmission side of the cable and replace a full rubber bushing, which is really nice.
So you're telling me that shifter is going to be even tighter?
It's going to be tighter than it is right now. I just finished up our Acuity shifter bushings.
And the Revel Carbon and Suede is now installed in the interior. Now it's time for Will to install the corner lights and the Honda.
Alright, it's time to get going on our Flash Pro from Hondata. In order for the 2020 and 2021 Civic Type Rs to be able to be tuned, there is a CAN gateway that I have to install. So I gotta remove a panel, plug this in, and then I'll plug the Flash Pro into my laptop, and we will register the Flash Pro with this car, and then we'll be able to tune it for 50 state legal tunes, and we'll be off and going. So let's get started by removing this panel. Alright, so we are plugged in, our CAN gateway is in, we're plugged into the OBD, and our ignition is on, but the car's not started. It is online, it's giving us our VIN right here that I can copy. We'll go ahead and now that VIN is copied, we'll put it into the right registration forms. We'll submit it online, and within seconds it'll come back saying that it is registered and ready for us to tune this thing.
Hondata coming.
Yeah, it's super easy. We're done. It's registered. It's ready for us to actually kind of drive around a little bit, clear the codes before we start selecting our tunes that we want to apply to the car. So tomorrow, when it's in the morning, I think we should drive this, test out the new shifter.
That'd be perfect, yeah.
Anything else we're gonna check out?
I really want to see how that shifter drives.
Yeah.
So it'd be a good, perfect time for it.
Cool. Ooh, that feels good.
The last piece we need to install is our Acuity oil filler cap.
I forgot about it.
I didn't forget about it. It's the last. It's like the final piece, man. The final touch.
So bright and early this morning, I drove this thing on the freeway, got immediately responded.
It's almost complete. So we only have a couple things left to do on this car. It's almost complete at this point. So if you're interested, get those entries in. Hopefully you're heading out to San Diego to meet us at our shop.
There goes straight jump rings.
Thank you. Didn't know. It picked them long, but
a lot of people told me to watch it. Is the volume good? So apparently this was made by just one person. Oh my god. Okay, this is quality. Very cinematic. I would watch a movie like this. Where's my popcorn? Like, I mean, I don't understand anything, but it looks hella cool, okay? Alright. There's a ship that we're going to go through. Infiltrated. Henry Cavill protects. Yes. Oh shit. Who are we fighting? Damn, this is so badass. I love it. I'm so confused. Are they even people? The big boys. It doesn't matter. It still looks hella cool. No survivors. Are those heretics we're fighting? Abandoned reason, no only war. We're writing stuff down. Yeah, they look like rebels or something. The guys that we're fighting. Oh shit. How do you even kill someone in a suit of armor like that? Not a scratch. See, they got technology. They got armor. They're almost like Brotherhood of Steel or something, but you know, more powerful. Magic BS at work. Okay, fast boy. So there is a way to stand against them. Oh! Oh, oh my god! There's 2 of them. Where are the rest of the big boys? Go help. Okay, finally. Shh. The goosebumps are not going away. This is so cool. Like, I don't even need to know who they are and like what they're doing, what they're fighting for. Like, as long as it's so cool and action packed, sign me up. Yeah, Warhammer 40k is cool. Yeah, they're like psycho or something. Or even magic. Greetings. I'm sorry, I'm not reading chat because I'm trying not to miss anything important here. That's a net runner. Or is it ours? I'm new to Warhammer. How am I supposed to call them if I don't know what they're called? Psychos. Netrunners. Brotherhood of Steel. Calling them names. Like, I don't even know. Is this thing alive? I think. Is it a machine? Is it a person?
Huh?
I know, right? Exactly. My thoughts, huh? Thank you for the follow. They said it. The name. Stardust. That's some powerful mind controlling.
That's it! Keep at it, lad!
Aliens. Aliens, guys. I'm telling you. Or demons. What are there? Terrors. Chaos. It's like evil, powerful beyond imaginable. So they like captured it, sealed it. Now they're gonna try to infiltrate it. Talk to it. Is it English? You must take the what? I need subtitles. What did he say? What did he say? otherwise overheating. Okay, until it's too late. Oof. I can't. The goosebumps are attacking me. No! It's gonna absorb you. Imagine how scary something like this is when you don't even know how to fight it. It's like beyond your comprehension. Okay, we're in a black hole now. There's no time. In space, there's only tentacles. Oh wow, we're still alive. You okay? Okay. Okay. I didn't expect that. But that looks and sounds and watch is so good. Oh, he got hired. Okay, that's what I heard too. That he got hired. So what? They banned Part 2, but hired the guy to do this. So if you have other watches about Warhammer 40k that is easy to consume for a newbie like me,
Hour 0. Sitting in his office, surrounded by his most trusted advisors, Xi Jinping feels ready. Over the past decade or more, he's spent billions upon billions modernizing China's military. His nation now has nuclear weapons, around 500 of them, and he's built one of the world's largest navies. Add to that the fact that China's military has more active members than any other nation, with 2.35 million people to call on. He's going to bring war to the United States. But to do so, he has to carefully coordinate attacks throughout the Pacific. He knows that the United States has bases in Japan and South Korea, around 190 in those two countries alone, and a powerful navy that, though smaller than his, packs a lot more firepower. A full frontal assault on the United States without taking care of those problems first would be suicide. He needs to secure the Pacific, giving China a route toward the American mainland as a priority. His attack doesn't begin with missile launches. It starts on the cyber front. For years, China has been working on cyber technology that would allow it to hack into American infrastructure and military defense systems, limiting America's response to an attack in the process. On occasion, China gets caught out. In December 2023, for instance, the United States conducted an operation to disrupt a network of small office home office or SOHO routers that China had taken control of using the KV botnet to mask its hacking activities. That was unfortunate for Xi, but it won't stop the first stage of his attack. Xi gives the okay and dozens of cyber attacks begin. Chinese hackers work feverishly, targeting American water systems, electrical grids, and communication systems, with a special focus on any that are located near key military installations. Further attacks take place within the networks of companies that provide critical services to America's military, as well as attacks on systems and transportation methods that will be used by the United States to deliver aid to Taiwan in the case of a Chinese invasion. That last step is critical. To reach the United States, China has to secure a passage through the Pacific. Taiwan, which China has claimed for decades should be part of the People's Republic anyway, is chosen as the main target. By securing that island, China can break through the nations in the Pacific that are allied to the United States, including Japan and South Korea, and clear its route to the American mainland. Hour 1. The United States is scrambling. It's no stranger to Chinese hackers, but it's never faced an operation of this scale before. The country's success against Volt Typhoon, the elite group of Chinese hackers that were responsible for the KV botnet attacks mentioned earlier, revealed that China has its fingers in major networks. Rail, mass transit, maritime, water, and pipeline systems were all under threat. And though Volt Typhoon has been mostly eradicated, the sheer scale of the disruption occurring in the US reveals that it was far from the only hacker group China had in play. America is left chasing shadows, at least for a couple of hours, which is all China needs to start the next stage of its assault. Xi Jinping gives the okay for the next and boldest part of its strategy, activating the People's Liberation Army Rocket Force, or PLARF. The group has around 120,000 members, who combine to operate 6 known ballistic missile bases throughout China. However, the PLARF's real strength lies in the sheer number of missiles it has at its disposal. Recent estimates from the US Naval Institute place the number at somewhere around 4,000, all of which are capable of targeting ships moving at sea in addition to static land-based targets. Both capabilities will be needed by Xi. In arranging this attack, he's had to make some difficult decisions. He knew that a launch against Taiwan was inevitable, and the island nation became his first target. A missile barrage begins, with air support being provided by the recently upgraded bases at Longqian, Jiangsu, and Wuhan. All three are supporting China with fleets of Shenyang J-16 fighters, launching missiles of their own while engaging Taiwanese defenses in the air. The tougher attacks focus on the US Pacific Fleet. Numbering around 200 ships, along with 1,500 aircraft and 150,000 military personnel, that fleet is the biggest barrier that stands in the way of Xi's ambitions to invade the United States. It covers almost half of the world's surface, stretching from Antarctica to the Arctic Circle, taking in the Pacific Ocean and the Indian Ocean in the process. Xi can't hit everything in that fleet, but his goal is to strategically weaken the fleet in the early hours of his new war, eliminating America's ability to rapidly respond to his actions. To do that, he needs a 3-pronged missile attack. First, he has to engage the naval bases the United States has set up in Japan, South Korea, and the Philippines. It's a risky move. Any missile strike on these nations will surely cause collateral damage, potentially bringing all 3 of them into the war in support of the US. But failure to strike now means leaving nearly 200 bases ready to launch an immediate counterattack supported by around 79,000 troops. Xi can't take that risk. Hordes of Dongfeng 26 or DF-26 missiles are launched towards America's bases in Japan and South Korea. Each missile has a range of 2,485 miles, easily ensuring they can reach their targets. They're accompanied by shorter-range missiles, such as the DF-16, for a simple reason. Xi needs his DF-26s for attacks further afield. Those very missiles are also part of the second part of China's missile barrage, attacking closer to the United States. More are sent flying toward Guam, targeting the Andersen Air Force Base in Yaigong, as well as Naval Base Guam in Santa Rita. Xi also unleashes the new jewel in China's missile crown to strike Hawaii. The DF-27 is a hypersonic missile that can just about reach America's east coast and is capable of evading US missile defenses. It'll be Xi's chief weapon when attacking the American mainland, at least during the early stages of the war. Finally, the third strike. attacking American ships that are currently in the Pacific. Chief among the targets will be the small fleet of cruisers America has in the water near China, including the USS Shiloh and USS Mobile Bay. All told, there are 9 of these ships, all packed with heavy armaments and strong anti-air defenses that China hopes to either eliminate or damage heavily. Secondary targets include the much larger fleet of US Navy destroyers, which pack less of a punch than the country's cruisers, but will still be enough to cause serious damage to the Chinese fleet if they're allowed to go unchecked. There are dozens to target, and Xi knows that he won't be able to take out all of them. But the more he can destroy with missiles now, the easier he'll find his invasion of Taiwan and subsequent passage to America. However, Xi's missiles won't have clear paths to their target. Though his cyber attacks have left the United States scrambling, it hasn't shut down the country's missile defense systems. America's DSP satellites, overseen by its Space Force, easily detect China's missile launches, giving President Joe Biden time to organize the country's defenses. Chief among these will be its ground-based interceptors, or GBIs, of which there are currently 44 active in the United States. Most of these systems, 40, are stationed in Alaska, though they're still capable of destroying intercontinental ballistic missiles, ICBMs, traveling at around 15,000 miles per hour. The other 4 are stationed in California, much closer to China's Hawaiian targets, and will be responsible for providing most of America's defenses against China's missile barrage. There's just one problem. What if any of the missiles contain nuclear warheads? Biden consults his advisors, who conclude that possibility is unlikely. American satellites show that the missiles are on course to hit its Pacific bases and Hawaii, suggesting a conventional strike. If Xi were going nuclear, his ICBMs would be on their way to Washington and other key strategic locations in the American mainland. Right now, the strategy is clear: evacuate troops from the anticipated strike zones and hunker down. Counterattack will come, but at present, the US has to rely on its missile defense systems. Across the Pacific, Xi watches and waits as the first of his missile barrages travel toward their targets in Japan and South Korea. Both have activated their missile defense systems to guard America's bases, with the platform they rolled out alongside the US toward the end of 2023, giving them advance notice of the missiles China has launched. Many get shot out of the sky, falling harmlessly into the Pacific, but the sheer number of Chinese missiles overwhelms the defenses. Okinawa is practically destroyed. As home to most of America's overseas military in Japan, it was the chief target of these strikes. At the Kadena Air Base, missiles rained down on F-15 Eagle fighters, E-3 Sentry planes, and KC-135 Stratotankers. The latter are especially important targets. They'll limit America's ability to refuel its aircraft in the air, restricting them to using the bases that China is so steadfastly attacking. The strike could be considered a success, killing thousands of American troops in the process, but Xi knows the bases aren't fully out of commission. He can't launch a ground-based invasion just yet, meaning the surviving crews at these bases will be able to rebuild quickly enough to continue to serve as launching points for the US Air Force. That's okay. He only needs them down for a few days. More missiles make their way toward cruisers and destroyers that the US has stationed in the Pacific. These ships are a little harder to strike, not least because they're not remaining still. Orders from American command have told all to start moving in erratic patterns, hoping to send Chinese missiles off course in the process. The tactic works in some cases, though not in others. China is successful in cutting down about half of America's cruisers, as well as several dozen destroyers. Again, a qualified success for Xi. A few minutes later, China's DF-27 and DF-26 missiles are drawing nearer to Hawaii. Dozens are shot out of the sky by California's missile defense systems, but they can't provide complete coverage. Many more break through, striking ships including the USS Frank E. Peterson and USS Hopper. Xi had hoped the strike would also take out at least some of the 13 submarines stationed in Hawaii, but no such luck. Even with the cyber attacks wreaking havoc, the commanders and crews of those submarines received orders to submerge underwater, safe from the missile barrage, until the US was ready to fight back. By the end of the first few hours of the conflict, China had expended nearly a quarter of its 4,000 missiles. It has wreaked devastation on the American bases in Asia, though at the cost of drawing Japan and South Korea into Xi's war. America's Pacific Fleet has been severely weakened, with Xi's cyber attacks also limiting the speed in which the US can respond to what he's going to do next. The strike's success wasn't total, but it was enough. Day 2, having bought himself some time with his attack on the United States, leaving his main enemy in a temporary state of disarray, Xi can focus on his immediate target, Taiwan. China has spent the last day battering Taiwan with short-range missiles. The barrage has been successful in taking out several targets, including the smaller islands surrounding Taiwan. But it's also faced a steadfast defense from the US-made Patriot air defense system stationed on the island, as well as Taiwan's own Skybow surface-to-air ballistic missile defense systems. Still, the barrage will have to end soon, if only because Xi wants to send ground troops in to take the island. He can't risk killing his own people in friendly fire situations. After a 24-hour bombardment in which China expends hundreds of missiles, Xi assesses the damage he's caused. Crucially, his attacks on America's overseas bases, as well as America itself, will delay its navy in reaching the Taiwan Strait, and the missiles he's fired at Taiwan have severely weakened its naval defenses, while fighter planes from Longqian, Zhengzhou, and Wuhan keep the country's air force occupied. He feels ready to start landing troops on the Taiwanese mainland, but therein he finds a problem. His landing options are limited. That's partially due to the actions of Taiwan's president, Tsai Ing-wen. She's been preparing for an attack from China for several months, especially in the wake of Beijing growing bolder by conducting military and naval operations in the Taiwan Strait. As soon as the missiles started flying, Tsai sent orders to defensive positions on both sides of the island. To the east, Taiwan benefits from having an extensive network of cliffs. Tsai anticipates that Xi will look to blockade that side of the island with his navy, but is unlikely to launch a full invasion from the east. Still, soldiers are placed on alert, telling them to prepare to fight against ground troops that might try to climb the cliffs, which have gradients of at least 15%. If need be, those troops will receive orders to destroy the routes built through the cliffs that lead to the mainland. Her main focus lies in Taiwan's west. As the coast closest to China, it's going to be the point of ingress into the island. Tsai places all 15 major ports and harbors on that coast on high alert, with orders for their destruction in place if China's forces get near. Tsai can't afford to allow China to set up a naval presence on the island itself if it manages to invade. Then there are Taiwan's beaches. All are heavily fortified, with any Chinese troops that manage to land having to make their way through scores of barbed wire-laden defenses just to achieve any hope of reaching the roads that lead to Taipei. The waters leading to most of those beaches are less than 50 feet deep, meaning China can't land troops en masse. It must take them most of the way before ferrying them across in smaller vessels, all while being subjected to missile fire from Taiwan. Those waters are also packed with shallow mines, with the beaches also containing anti-landing spikes that will prevent Chinese tanks from making inroads. And if worst comes to worst, Tsai can collapse the roads leading into Taipei from the west, forcing Chinese troops to navigate challenging terrain if they ever hope to reach Taiwan's capital. Tsai is going to make this a war of attrition, and that spells bad news for Xi. Day 3. The United States is almost ready to counter the initial Chinese offensive. But before it does, Biden puts on his diplomatic hat as he prepares to exploit a key weakness in Xi's plan. One of China's biggest challenges in the war is economic. The country relies heavily on importing goods, spending $2.56 trillion in 2023 alone. Biden has spent the last 3 days organizing heavy sanctions against China, with America's network of allies finally paying off. China will not only struggle to import goods and equipment from the United States, but it will also be cut off from its European trade partners, all agree to not sell to or buy from China, essentially creating a blockade for as long as the war lasts. That blockade extends to oil. China imports 11.8 million barrels of oil per day to keep itself running. Much of that oil comes from Russia, which is now responsible for about 19% of the oil China buys annually. However, the other 81% comes from countries like Saudi Arabia, which are allied to the United States. Leveraging diplomatic pressure, as well as the concerns that other Asian nations such as Saudi Arabia have related to Chinese expansion, Biden is able to cut off most of the oil reaching China. Yes, Russia will supply Xi, though it isn't able to cover the massive shortfall that results from America's sanctions. And given Putin's war in Ukraine, he also can't risk Russia's trade with other countries for the sake of solely supporting China, especially given that he faces his own sanctions. Xi didn't expect this. Now he faces a shutdown. China has to defeat the United States in a matter of months, or else its resources will dwindle to the point where it's practically starved out of the fight that it started. Day 4. With sanctions in place and trade routes in the process of being cut off, Biden's next move is to speak to his allies in NATO. After all, China directly attacked America on its own soil by launching missiles at Taiwan. It also attack America-owned military bases overseas, which would also constitute an attack on the US. All of this plays in Biden's favor for one reason: Article 5 of the NATO Charter. According to this article, if any NATO ally or member nation is the victim of an armed attack by another country, every other NATO member will consider this an act of violence against themselves. In short, China's attack on the United States has brought most of Europe into the fold. Biden has been cooperating with NATO members from the moment he detected China's missiles. Collectively, that makes him ready to utilize the power of 31 nations, including what's left of the United States defenses. The focal point of the counterattack is obvious: the Taiwan Strait. Xi has failed to take Taiwan with his missile barrage and now faces an extended conflict in which he's losing thousands of troops every day to his attempts to land on Taiwanese beaches. Even if he manages to break through Taiwan's defenses by simply throwing sheer numbers at the island, his troops will face an urban warfare campaign that will see them fight tooth and nail for every strip they manage to claim. Xi didn't expect this. And this war of attrition all adds up to time that the US and its allies can take to prepare an attack. The strategy is to combine America's naval resources with those of its NATO allies, as well as the navies of South Korea, Japan, and Australia. The latter will also be a focal point of the counterattack, as China neglected to destroy the bases America has set up in Australia. The United States sends a fleet of ships, including most of its stock of 11 aircraft carriers, toward the Taiwan Strait. They're accompanied by one of the UK's aircraft carriers, the HMS Queen Elizabeth, loaded with Typhoon FGR-4 and F-35B Lightning jets. Similar support comes from Canada, which commits half of its 12 frigates to the American cause, as well as Japan, which sends most of its fleet of 36 destroyers. South Korea hesitates. It's happy to support the US in any way that it can, but it also has to be wary of North Korea, which could see China's attack as an opportunity for it to start a war with its southern neighbor. If South Korea commits its naval or aerial resources to America now, it leaves itself open to attack. Biden understands this, resulting in South Korea's role being to keep watch over North Korea to ensure it doesn't get involved in the conflict. And now the US has an allied fighting force that's capable of fighting against China in the sea or air. The fleet sets sail. Week 2. Xi has been bombarding Taiwan to no avail. Every attempt to land ground troops on Taiwan's beaches is met with missile strikes and fierce beach combat. Yes, he's slowly whittling away at those defenses, but for each victory he achieves, a road is destroyed or a tunnel collapsed by Taiwan, forcing his troops to divert over difficult terrain to get to Taipei. The few who managed to reach Taiwan's capital have been destroyed in urban warfare. This was supposed to be a quick victory. It had to be. Every day that China doesn't control Taiwan is another day in which American counteroffensives draw nearer. Finally, 2 weeks after his missile launches, Xi faces the prospect of American naval and aerial assets reaching the Taiwan Strait. Worse yet, they're supported by NATO and Japan, neither of which wants to see China gain more influence, be it in the Pacific or the Americas. Worse yet for China, its navy, though larger than America's, doesn't compare in terms of sheer firepower. Though Xi was successful in destroying almost 24 of America's destroyers in his missile barrage, that still leaves 68 to contend with, around 20 more than China has. And although China has more corvettes and patrol boats, neither will withstand the combined naval firepower being brought into the Taiwan Strait. Worse yet for Xi, America has an ace in the hole: its Rapid Dragon tactic. Over the past couple of years, the United States has been retrofitting some of its cargo aircraft so they're capable of dropping pallets of long-range missiles. Each pallet can be stocked up with 30 AGM-158 JASSM cruise missiles, which have a range of between 229 and 1,118 miles, depending on which version of the missile is launched. Stacked into America's MC-130J aircraft, which Xi didn't target as he didn't believe them to be a threat, these pallets start raining cruise missiles down onto the Taiwan Strait. Those missiles serve two purposes. If they hit a Chinese ship, their 990-pound WDU-42B penetrator warheads can easily destroy most targets. But even if they fail to hit, such a large barrage of missiles launched simultaneously will confuse the missile defense systems built into China's larger warships, as well as those in the 3 air bases that are the launching point for China's fighter jets. While the missile defenses are focused on a flurry of JASSM cruise missiles, more targeted strikes can take out targets. The Allied forces turn the tide in the Taiwan Strait. Month 2. Xi has lost the clear passage into Taiwan that he'd established during
Captain, we can use that wood. Trigger in and shield down. Your bay is cut. Cosini, keep going.
I hope I said better when you than on other ships. Caesar tried to kill me more than once. To sense the frustration.
Located only 30 minutes from central London, Denham Place is one of the UK's most important country houses. Built in 1688, its owners have included Bonaparte royals, the American banker J.P. Morgan, Harry Saltzman, the Bond producer, an eclectic but important mix. After an 8-year restoration completed recently, the estate now includes 12 reception rooms, 12 bedrooms, 14 bathrooms, family and catering kitchens, a private chapel, a cinema, the grounds laid out with inspiration from Versailles, and it's on the market for £75 million. I'd like to introduce you to Alex Kravitz, lead designer on the restoration, a fount of knowledge about the property.
So welcome to the Great Hall, the main entrance to the house where people would normally arrive from the magnificent drive as we just came through. When I first arrived at this property, it was actually an office building. Plenty of things were not in existence or were completely covered up. As an initial layer to begin the design, we had to study all the archives and understand what was here before. This room was significant in the sense that it had the monogram on the ceiling of one of the original owners, Sir Reginald Hill. He was the original mastermind behind this house when it was built in 1688. So we proceed to the drawing room, the main reception of the house. In the old days where the entrance used to be, opening up right here. So imagine arriving in this room when it was still an office block and you see all the walls painted completely white, and all of a sudden you start uncovering all the layers after layers. There is so much history in this place that you really need to go on a treasure hunt and reconstruct what every generation contributed. Benjamin Way, the later inheritor of the house, he actually changed the entrances from what was customary at the time. And from the grand reception, this becomes a drawing room. It's for the entire family to come together. In terms of restoration, it's a beautiful room in yellow. It was quite significant at the time to make things very happy. Every single piece here was restored to its original grandeur. What you see here on the walls today is silk fabric that comes from archives of the only remaining silk manufacturer in England to actually restore and produce them again in this beautiful yellow color. The main music room comes from the musical instruments right in the center of the ceiling. As you can see, it's almost like another drawing room, but of a different type. It's less formal, it's more for entertainment. That's where music comes into play. So we have this beautiful Bachstein old piano, which was also totally restored, and you can just see this incredible ceiling, which we had to do full restoration on. It was actually sinking under the weight of the floors above, and this was all done at the time by the English craftsmen. And you can see a French influence that comes from historical connotation of the Napoleon Bonaparte's family staying at Denham. The wall lights were actually produced by a French company that's responsible for the restoration of the Louvre as well as Versailles, and they were brought to the house to bring their expertise as well. A large part of the design brief was not only to restore this amazing property, but also to create a home. That was the most challenging part, to create the home within the palace. From the 1920s, this room was actually used as a billiards room, and our tribute to that was to reinstate that feel. Beautiful tapestry, and this room is actually called Tapestry Room because historically that's where you would hang your most prized possessions, like the tapestries that were only fit for the king. Beautiful ceiling work, and that is completely different to the music room next door. This one is very primitive in its style by the local English craftsman in 1700s, and that tells us the story of Denham Village. You can actually see the bridge going over the river, which is still there today. Part of our work was also to peel off all the historical layers of paint and by chemical analysis do a complete reproduction of what was there at the time. So the colors as restored as they were originally produced. One of the most impressive and beautiful rooms in the house is the library. It's actually one of the most original interiors still preserved as it was built in 1688. You can see it's a magnificent space, beautiful as a private office, also amazing as a meeting room. And on the ceiling you can see the fresco that is taken tribute to Paolo Cella's Battle of San Gimignano, which is in the National Gallery in London. We also have the original cherub, and this space is just incredible. It was so incredible that it was used for filming of one of the James Bond films. When Harry Saltzman was in residence, he actually reproduced this library back at the film studios next door for the film. And the floor is made from leather, hand embossed, produced in Florence, specifically for this house. This is the cinema room. We are in the lower ground floor. This room also doubles up as a function room. So you can take away all the seats and put banqueting style tables and chairs and effectively serve 80 guests for dinner with full entertainment. What we've also done is decorated the vaulted ceilings with the 24-karat gold frescoes. We had a team of artists working here for 5 months, all hand painted. And this ceiling was actually one of the most amazing features upon the completion of the house. And here's another unique space, and that is a Bond bar. We've created this space specifically for the entertainment, and from here on you can connect to other spaces like the Bond bar lounge. And it's a very informal, very speakeasy environment. Think of it as a music room for the new generation. The vaulted ceiling comes here from the old house architecture. This room used to be a storeroom, and we thought converting it to a bar will be a great addition to all the more formal spaces at the top. We are now in the chapel, and normally you would find the chapel in much more significant palatial residences as a private chapel of the king. And here we actually have it also as a feature in the house. Today it's repurposed as the champagne bar. It's a great place to contemplate and gather as a family, friends, and enjoy a beautiful evening together. In terms of restoration, this was the most interesting part of the project. So it was all painted completely white with a green carpet on the floor, no marble floors as you see them today. The paneling allegedly comes from Hampton Court. So as part of the restoration, I had to go to Hampton Court and pick the right color for all this beautiful detailing on the panels you see today. We're now in the great staircase, the oak-paneled, most significant staircase in the house, leading to the principal suites and other bedrooms. The most interesting part of the staircase is the coat of arms of Sir Roger Hill. Again, you can see his family crest, and this is one of two staircases connecting all the levels in the house, and there is also a lift that was integrated within the fabric of the building to connect all the 4 floors.
I'm happy on my own.
And here we are in the principal suite of Denham Place. A magnificent lounge fit for a king with the gorgeous ceilings, all original, all restored to its prime glory. And we have wonderful space full of paneled walls, silk curtains, and the view overlooking the Champagne Garden and the sunken garden below. Moving on to the principal bedroom, 4-poster bed which was carved in the region of Venice, especially commissioned for this gorgeous bedroom. Beautiful ceiling, more examples of fantastic plasterwork. When we started the restoration, you could not see any of this beautiful work. All the beautiful paneling, ceilings, frescoes and plasterwork is in its original state, meticulously restored. Gold leaf applied quite generously on all the panels, fully integrating air conditioning, all the new mods and cons, audio-visual system. It features an incredible
I prefer land. Life at sea is miserable. Safe travels, Captain.
Here, that was quick. You must enjoy my surly company then. A pirate needs steel nerves. Bring more coin, and I'll smith you more steel.
Your ship can always add improvements. I enjoy carving Ungwana sculptures. People are free in St. Anne. May your travels lead you to warm sands.
Welcome to the Manor, one of the finest estates in Los Angeles. It is over 56,000 square feet. It is larger than the Taj Mahal, the White House, and close to a football field. It offers 14 bedrooms, 27 bathrooms on 4.6 acres. All of this is on the market for $165 million. This is the foyer of the Manor. The ceilings are 30 feet high. It has a double staircase. It's very grand. The chandelier has a mechanism that raises and lowers it. And the staircase railing is one continuous piece, hand-forged in Texas. It is legendary in the city. It is the most important street hall by far, and it is a sight to behold. The Manor was built in the style of a French chateau, with many details from that period, including this incredible ceiling. The Manor was built on the former estate of Bing Crosby. Aaron and Candy Spelling tore the house down to build their dream vision, a family home that would be cherished for them and for other generations. It took 7 years and 150 workers every day to complete their vision. The Manor was built to host large events, and one enters the front door, goes through this great entry hall to the formal living room. There are 5 sets of French doors, all opening to the incredible grounds, and it's designed to flow seamlessly from motor court, entry hall, living room to the grounds. An incredible detail of the Manor is that on the first floor, there are all French doors that open to the grounds, not one window. This is the library of the Manor. It's an incredible scale and intimate space. It's designed for entertaining smaller groups, has a wood-burning fireplace, bar, and again opens to the grounds. It was built as Aaron Spelling's office, and back there was where the desk and seating area was. One of the most special features of this room is the amount of shelving. They go from the middle of the room to the top. They're lit beautifully to showcase books and rare objects. There are these incredible fireplace details throughout the house. There's one in every major public room. So for large parties, wood-burning fireplaces, a sense of gathering, it's quite an incredible experience. We are now in the formal dining room of the Manor. This room is capable of hosting 30 guests, some of which have been celebrities, royalty, politicians, and also private family dinners. An interesting detail of the formal dining room is an oval cove ceiling. It adds great depth and character to this very important room. The kitchen is a complete back-of-house area with 2 walk-in refrigerators, a pizza oven, and rooms for storage. Welcome to the primary suite of the Manor. This is a home inside a home. It features a sitting room, completely private, a bedroom suite, bathed in light, and is its own wing of the house, completely separated from all the goings-on in the estate. The Manor is one of the largest estates in Los Angeles. The owners designed a private, intimate space where they could have breakfast, relax, and not see what was happening in the rest of their property so that they could have their sense of seclusion. The sleeping area of the primary suite is very generous in size. There are high ceilings, walls for art, details from the style of French chateau. It is beyond special. Welcome to one of the largest closets in all of Los Angeles. It's a 2-story space, the size of a retail store. It's designed to showcase endless clothes, jewelry, accessories, and is probably one of the most fabulous closets I've ever seen. This area is designed for lounging. It's almost like a second living room. More hanging space here. There are 2 accessory closets there. This is the shoe closet. There's more here. So this is for wardrobe fittings, more hanging in that department. And this goes into the primary bath suite. This is the primary bath number 1. It is an octagonal space. It's bathed in light. There's an incredible floor, a freestanding tub, and a shower that is in book-match marble. Endless space in this bathroom, tons of storage, built-in TV. It's great for getting ready for the day. This is a sitting room for the second bathroom in the primary suite. Has a fireplace, beautiful stonework, a large steam shower, walk-in closet, and a view onto the motor court and this grand entrance fountain. We are now in one of 6 guest bedrooms at the manor, one of which was occupied by Prince Charles on his visit here. Besides the 6 guest bedrooms, there are 7 staff bedrooms in a separate wing that are equally large and very well appointed. We are in the attic of the manor, and this house was built with 500 tons of steel. The infrastructure is beyond compare. This is a hoist for the chandelier that we saw in the entry hall. It raises and lowers the chandelier for cleaning. Follow me to see something really fabulous. There is a barber shop tucked away in the attic. That was built for Aaron Spelling as his place to get a haircut. We are in the wellness center at the manor. It's a complex of items for health, wellness, beauty, including a massage room on my right and a salon on my left.
From growing up an orphan to conquering nations, Kuvira was one of Team Avatar's most dangerous foes. But how did this master metalbender eventually redeem herself? Well, get ready to find out. This is Kuvira's complete timeline in the Legend of Korra. By her own admission, the future military leader claimed that she was a wild and arrogant child. Born and raised in the Earth Kingdom, other than strictly punishing her, Kuvira's mother and father did little in terms of hands-on parenting. Due to the constant disciplining, Kuvira developed her bending talents by lashing out. Eventually, the earthbending prodigy injured her mother during an outburst, and that was the last straw. Kuvira's parents arranged for her to be adopted by a metalbender strong enough to handle her behavior. Waiting at the gates of Zaofu was a former wild child herself, Suyin Beifong. Despite a warm reception, the fact that Kuvira's parents cast her aside would forever haunt her. Remaining difficult, the new family member didn't get along with her siblings. Showing early signs of trouble, Kuvira at one point destroyed her adopted sister Opal's dollhouse with a terrifying display of metal bending. Suyin often tried to intervene, but this pattern of behavior persisted throughout Kuvira's entire childhood. Arguably, Kuvira's fear and vulnerability during this time was the prime catalyst for her violent future. Suyin nevertheless raised her adopted daughter like her own, and Kuvira grew out of her wild child phase. The talented metalbender then began performing in Zaofu's dance troupes, which honed her abilities even further. Kuvira was also discovered to be a natural leader. Quickly rising through the ranks, she became captain of the city's guard. Not long after, Kuvira met Team Avatar and fought by their side against the Red Lotus. Following a fight in which Kuvira saved the life of Korra's father, we saw a rare glimpse of her compassionate side.
I owe you my life. Thank you, Captain.
You can call me Kuvira.
Soon, the Red Lotus was defeated. When Suyin was approached with an offer to reunite the Earth Kingdom, however, she refused. This decision was the start of a rift with Kuvira, who argued that Zaofu's progressive ideals should be spread far and wide.
If you leave now, you will never be welcomed back.
When I choose to return, it'll be on my own terms.
Drawing a line in the sand, Kuvira left with a small army to make peace in Ba Sing Se. Defying the odds, she was successful. Gaining the trust of world powers, Kuvira was then appointed the de facto leader of the Earth Kingdom, with her soon-to-be fiancé and Suyin's son, Vitar Jr., as second in command. The Great Uniter, as Kuvira was named, then assembled a massive army to enforce her rule. For their allegiance, the Great Uniter offered supplies and protection to Earth Kingdom states, which she was glad to personally dole out herself. While most leaders initially turned her away, the daily threat of bandits looting food supplies allowed Kuvira to take over the Earth Kingdom.
I pledge my loyalty to you, Great Uniter.
Soon, Kuvira arrived in Republic City and denounced the rule of the new Earth King. appointing herself the leader, the Great Uniter informed the public that she was building a new Earth empire.
Anyone who crosses our borders or stands in our way will be crushed.
Kuvira planned to make good on her promise and secretly tasked the genius inventor Varric to develop a weapon powered by Spirit Vine energy.
From now on, developing this technology is your #1 priority.
This is going to change everything.
Kuvira then mobilized her army to take control of the last unoccupied territory, her home of Zaofu. Avatar Korra soon arrived, and while she tried to negotiate peacefully, a failed kidnapping attempt by Su Yin complicated things. Unafraid, Kuvira challenged Korra to a one-on-one duel for the fate of Zaofu. Reluctantly, she accepted. When the fight began, the Avatar used every element at her disposal. On paper, Kuvira was at a disadvantage, but she kept the upper hand with quick changes between earth and metal attacks. While Korra was clearly strong enough to defeat Kuvira in the Avatar state, she refused to deliver a killing blow.
I knew you were weak.
Fortunately, Jinora and Opal were close by, and as they narrowly escaped, Kuvira proclaimed her victory.
Zaofu is ours!
Once inside the city, Kuvira ordered the citizens to kneel before her. Most complied, but her family refused, and in response, Batar Jr. had a public temper tantrum.
Bow to her! Do it! She is your rightful leader!
After Varric and Bolin escaped Kuvira's capture, she tasked Batar Jr. and Zhu Li to pick up where they left off on her new superweapon.
This area is overrun with spirit vines, and they appear to be even more powerful than the samples we took from Republic City.
Perfect. Harvest these vines until there's nothing left.
A few weeks later, Kuvira traveled to the factory where a giant spirit energy cannon was being assembled. When the weapon malfunctioned, Kuvira was immediately suspicious of Zhu Li and discovered she was a double agent.
You swore your loyalty to me, and I gave you a chance at greatness. This is how you repay me?
You're a monster. I regret nothing.
The alarm signaling Team Beifong's prison break sounded only moments later. Upon being freed and beyond disappointed, Su Yin then launched a deadly assault upon Kuvira. Although they fought hard, Team Beifong was cornered and nearly defeated before Toph showed up.
You give metal benders a bad name!
Now possessing an operational superweapon, Kuvira informed her troops about their next target.
This land belongs to the people of the Earth Empire, and it's time to take it back. Republic City will be ours!
Upon arriving in Republic City, Kuvira brushed aside the President's threats, and in a matter of seconds, sank the United Forces Navy to prove her point.
I have no choice.
Time's up.
Stop. We surrender. Republic City is yours.
While Kuvira was stationed behind the impenetrable walls of her mecha suit, Team Avatar realized Batar Jr. was vulnerable in an airship flying above the city. With a stealth group of airbenders, Team Avatar kidnapped Batar Jr. and attempted to use him as leverage to stop the mecha suit. Kuvira took the opportunity, however, to let her fiancé know their engagement was off.
Guys, she must have our location. She's pointing that weapon right at us.
No, she wouldn't.
Everyone out! Now! Now!
Miraculously surviving, Team Avatar then launched attack after attack with zero effect. It wasn't until Hiroshi Sato sacrificed his life that Team Avatar was able to penetrate the platinum exterior of Kuvira's mecha suit.
Initiate lockdown. Find the Avatar and whoever else is with her.
Sensing that Su Yin and Lin successfully disabled the Spirit Vine cannon, Kuvira violently tossed the arm free, but was caught off guard by Korra. The two Master Benders then began the rematch of their lives. While Korra was back at her full strength, Kuvira was still the superior metal bender, and she was equipped with a whole room filled with ammo. Mako and Bolin hadn't destroyed the engine room of the mecha suit. The once great Uniter might not have lost this fight. When the dust settled, Korra carried out an unconscious Kuvira from the wreckage.
It's over.
You're gonna call off your army and surrender to President Raiko. Then you and...
Injured but refusing to surrender, Kuvira fled into the nearby spirit wilds, desperate to make one last move.
If you really want to end it, then come and get me! Now it's over. Don't!
The spirit energy cannon began to interact with the surrounding vines and was overloaded with power. Kuvira tried to shut it down manually, but the weapon was already out of control. Fortunately, the Avatar was close by, and she selflessly deflected the weapon. The redirected energy then opened a portal into the spirit world, where Kuvira and Korra were transported. The now fragile-looking commander of the Earth Empire was immediately confused why Korra would have saved her.
You don't understand anything about me.
I do. Sue told me how she took you in when you were younger. It must have been so hard being an orphan.
Don't pretend you know what it felt like.
Korra admitted to Kuvira that she lived in fear and would have done anything to regain control after being poisoned by the Red Lotus. As the two connected for the first time, there was a change in Kuvira as she realized that even someone as strong as an Avatar can still feel afraid. Supported by Korra, Kuvira walked back to Republic City and surrendered with dignity.
Stand down. This battle is over. I owe the Avatar my life. Her power is beyond anything I could ever hope to achieve.
The former Great Uniter accepted her shackles and meekly apologized before being taken to prison. Sometime later, Kuvira was put on trial for what could only be a very long list of crimes. When asked for her plea, the former Great Uniter claimed her numerous apologies and positive achievements were enough to satisfy her punishment. With the judges at their wits' end, they asked again for Kuvira's plea, to which she replied, not guilty. What exactly was Kuvira thinking here? Even in the best-case scenario, she hurt thousands of people. As the courtroom was dismissed, Suyin lashed out at her adopted daughter for not accepting responsibility. Remaining stoic, the Master Metalbender returned to solitary confinement, chained to the unbendable platinum of her prison cell. Kuvira then waited for months, reliving past trauma in her mind over and over again without a single visitor. If you forget the horrible things she's done, you could almost feel sorry for her. It just so happened, however, that a rebel group of Earth Empire soldiers still refused to surrender to the United Forces. Not long after, Kuvira received her first visitor when Avatar Korra asked for information on the rebels. As it turned out, their leader Guan was previously under the command of Kuvira, and Team Avatar realized she could help keep negotiations peaceful. Korra then secured release papers, and with an eerie smile, Kuvira entered into Team Avatar's custody. Upon arriving in the state of Gaoling and actually speaking with Guan, Kuvira quickly decided against peaceful negotiations. Smartly planning ahead, Asami knocked out the Metalbender via remote shock. A breathless Guan then promised to take power with a fair election instead of a fight, and Team Avatar was left to formulate a new plan. It was decided that Korra asked for help from Toph, but as soon as she left, Guan's forces ambushed the other members of Team Avatar. If Kuvira hadn't overreacted earlier, Bolin, Mako, and Asami might have stood a fighting chance. Instead, the rebels won and captured them. Upon returning to Gaoling, Kuvira was then forced to witness the effect of Guan's strange new weapon on her uneasy allies. Influenced by the techniques of the Dai Li secret police, the Earth Empire rebels had developed an irreversible brainwashing machine. With the flick of a switch, Bolin, Mako, and Asami were now sworn enemies of the Avatar. Terrified but maintaining her composure, Kuvira saw an opportunity and broke free. The Metalbender then single-handedly brought down a building on top of Guan and escaped his compound. At this point, Kuvira could have easily gone into hiding and avoided spending her life in prison. Taking responsibility for her actions, however, the former child of Zaofu made the toughest call of her life. Swallowing her pride, Kuvira contacted her adopted mother for help. Soon after, Kuvira tracked down Korra and let her know about her friends being captured. With Toph present to confirm the truth, Suyin arrived just as Guan's forces prepared to attack with the brainwashed members of Team Avatar. Kuvira fought back and helped save Asami, but with no way to reverse the brainwashing, she was still as much of an enemy as Guan. Determined to find a solution, Kuvira called the one person who could reverse engineer a cure, the ex-fiancé who she nearly killed. Sorry, Kuvira. You set yourself up for a challenge with this one. While neither enjoyed the reunion, Batar Jr. eventually agreed to help for the greater good. Using her near photographic memory, Kuvira described Guan's brainwashing machine in enough detail that Batar Jr. could build one himself. Soon, Asami's brainwashing was reversed, and after a brief moment of reconciliation with Batar Jr., Kuvira launched a one-woman mission to stop Guan. Expertly remaining undetected, Kuvira snuck into Guan's office and brokered a deal to rejoin the Earth Empire if she allowed herself to be brainwashed. Here we see Guan might not be the military mastermind he claimed to be, as Kuvira easily bent the machine into scrap metal before he turned it on. Now living up to her former name, the Great Uniter fought off Bolin, Mako, and the rest of the rebel forces alone before reinforcements arrived. Upon catching up to Guan and recognizing the change in herself, Kuvira walked away before ending his life. The Earth Empire prisoners got their brainwashing cured, and with the crisis in Gowling over, Kuvira willingly returned to her cell. At her follow-up trial, she made a new plea to the court confessing to all of her crimes, and for the first time gave a heartfelt apology. Outside the courtroom, Team Avatar expressed their newfound respect for the former dictator. Upon witnessing the positive change in her adopted daughter, Suyin convinced the court to release Kuvira into her custody. Technically, she was still under house arrest, but after many years apart, Kuvira was finally able to go home. As far as what the future holds for this unlikely hero and all the adventures ahead, that's all.
Charming Italian village estate at the Madison Club in La Quinta, California. Approximately 8,250 square feet on over an acre of manicured grounds. A defined three-level tower anchors the courtyard, along with an inspiring multi-arched open-air bridge flanked by two exterior staircases linking the two distinct wings of this home. The signature of this home is expansive courtyard that allows for interaction and indoor-outdoor living from the majority of rooms in the home. These include the great room, dining room, kitchen, entry foyer, owner's bedroom suite, and second floor game room and guest suite. The classic designed pool becomes the central focal point of the courtyard. The result of the interaction of rooms with the courtyard creates the feeling of an ancient Italian village where the central courtyard becomes the gathering place. But this is only half the story. Once you enter the home, you are greeted by a breathtaking view of the golf course and picturesque desert mountains beyond the courtyard, with a double-door entryway to foyer and outdoor entertainment area for perfect event access. The home's central living area is uncompromising in its indoor-outdoor lifestyle, accentuated by a series of disappearing doors. A great room with towering cathedral ceiling hosting floor-to-ceiling custom fireplace with media. Formal dining room and gourmet Tuscan country kitchen with large island with a separate catering kitchen and wine cellar. Handsome library office with beautiful wood built-ins and wood paneling floor to ceiling. The home is uncompromising, both in its classic Italian architecture with Tuscan farmhouse influence and functional considerations to the desert and golf lifestyle. The master bedroom suite has the best of all worlds, with both viewing opportunities to the golf course and courtyard. The bathroom suite opens to a private courtyard complete with an outdoor shower. Another key feature to the bathroom suite is a unique 3-story retreat with private sky deck. With the drama of the courtyard, the indoor-outdoor living provided by the floor plan, the attention to uncompromising architectural detailing, This home has optimized Gulf desert living lifestyle, living with an old world philosophy. The home offers 5 full bedroom suites, 6 full baths, 2 powder rooms, plus office and game room. Inspired by the romance of Tuscan architecture, this home was built to evoke an ancient Roman village evolving through time.
My papa taught me woodwork.
A little different than all the rest. A quite old-fashioned wear a hat, sometimes played chess.
Hey everyone, welcome to Beverly Hills. City known for its attractions, celebrities, amazing weather, and of course, its homes. Well, today's video encompasses all that because we're touring an incredible estate located in a guard-gated community situated over 7.5 acres with breathtaking views. I'm really excited for today's tour. Once again, welcome to Beverly Hills, and let's go have a look. All right, everyone, we're gonna start our tour on the exterior. We have these beautiful iron gates opening up to the property. Driveway takes you all the way to the front door. And the same driveway splits up to this side where we have a smaller courtyard for all the garages. Coming here, additional parking on the left-hand side. House is nicely hedged. Landscaping looks beautiful. Super private setting. Property is on my right-hand side. Front facade is covered with ivy. And then we have the motor court here. Beautiful day. Front door is located here. What can I say? I am excited to be in Beverly Hills. Now, let's talk about the house itself for a second. Beautiful Mediterranean estate. It's around 13,000 square feet. I love the way the exterior looks. It's covered with ivy. We have these red roof tiles. It's very cozy, estate-like feel. You have these mature trees. And this Rolls Royce just complements the scene.
It looks nice. Why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
1982 Rolls Royce Corniche convertible. Weather has been amazing lately.
Today, we have the privilege of touring an extraordinary property that stands out as one of California's finest. The Bella Vista Estate spans approximately 20 acres and boasts a remarkable array of amenities, including a polo field the size of 10 football fields, a driving range and full golf area, a historic butterfly garden, a 15-stall horse stable, a 128-foot infinity edge pool, and breathtaking panoramic views of the ocean and mountains. The main residence is equally impressive, featuring a disco nightclub, a restaurant and sports bar, a movie theater, a wellness center, a 6,000-bottle wine cellar and tasting room. Our tour will showcase all that this incredible property has to offer, so let's go check it out. How we doing, guys? As you arrive to this property, up this long gated driveway, you can already see the incredible ocean views to my right. Also to the right side, we see a pickleball court and a bocce ball court over here. Just follow me real quick. There is a lot to touch on this property. I mean, this is definitely like something we have never seen before on this channel, guys. Right here, this is some of the best ocean views that you will ever see. We are on over 20 acres, so there is just a lot to see in this property, but follow me back here as we walk back up the driveway to my right side currently. We see there are a couple garage spaces that also lead you through the side yard. garden and into a couple other bedrooms on the left wing of the home. And here's your circular driveway right here surrounding this tree that acts as a staging piece for the property. To the right side of this circular driveway, that leads you all the way down to the stables, to the guest homes, to the polo field clubhouse as well, which is incredible. And we're going to show you all of that too a little bit later on in this video. But as we walk up to the house, this is it. This is the grand entrance, guys. I mean, when you have a fountain in the center of this circular driveway, you just know that you have made it. I mean, take a look at this right here. The detail is everything throughout this property. So much customization, so much character to this home. You've got the detail of the horses on the lower half of this water feature. And this is it, guys. You're about to go on a journey with me, so let's head up the stairs and go inside. So here we are. We've made it inside to the grand entrance of the home. And right as you walk in, you are just struck with views of all of that grassy space in front of me. The polo field is actually the size of 10 football fields, which is insane. But this is the entrance. We've got a beautiful chandelier above me. Incredible detail with all of the artwork surrounding us. The columns on the wall, the light fixtures are insane. But to the right here, this is where we have the first powder room. And I love that there is this statue just in the very center of the powder room right as you walk in. I mean, that's quite an entrance to go into the powder room. And in this powder room, it's not your basic old powder room either. We have the red velvet walls with the same detail that you'll see. Looks very similar to all of the light features that we also see throughout the home too. And there's a good amount of space in this powder room with the copper sink in here as well. But follow me out of here. On the other side of this front door, we have a secret door, actually. If you're just looking around, you wouldn't be able to tell that there's a door right here. Come follow me. It leads to the staircase up to the rooftop deck. So this is it. We've made it up the staircase to the rooftop deck. And I mean, what a perfect day to be at this house and filming. Barely a cloud in the sky, expansive ocean views, the mountains surrounding us out here in Montecito in Santa Barbara. But this is your rooftop deck. We have an outdoor barbecue grill, Viking appliances, kitchen with built-in freezer, built-in fridge, of course. We've got sink to the right side as well. And if you follow me up these steps, it leads up here to this lookout space with even more views, with even more room up here. And as you follow me to this side, you get the ocean. And on the opposite side of our rooftop deck, we have an above-ground hot tub over here. I mean, can you imagine sitting in this hot tub and looking out at these ocean views every single night, or sitting in the hot tub and looking at your property down here on the polo field? You can see the infinity edge pool, the massive palm trees as well. Doesn't get much better than this. I can't wait till you guys see the rest, but let's go back downstairs. Back downstairs, follow me. This way we have another massive chandelier, and if you look up, that is where we just were, the rooftop deck above us. And here is your grand entryway. We see the beautiful detail in the railings of these stairs as well. And this is it. You get those views like I was talking about, but first follow me to this side. This is the formal dining room. Right as you walk in, you can tell that every room throughout this home really has a different theme to it. We're getting more maroon vibes, a red theme in here, 2 large chandeliers to both sides of the dining table, and you can probably fit about 18 people comfortably at this table. Imagine having Thanksgiving meals here, looking out at your food, the ocean, just having a fun gathering with your friends and family. Back into the hallway. We're going down this hall, taking a turn to the left side first. And this is your kitchen space. Large center island with dark stone countertops, 2 chandeliers hanging above once again. Then we've got your paneled fridge and freezer right next to me, built-in Miele espresso machine, a couple of seats for your breakfast bar on both sides of your island, and we actually have a fireplace here in your kitchen as well with a ledge right beneath it. Also, flat screen TV up in the corner, so while you're cooking, you're not gonna get too bored. You can still watch your favorite show in this kitchen. Follow me. This is just a little pantry space as well outside of the kitchen area, but back into the hallway. Now we're next to the formal dining room. This might be one of my favorite rooms throughout the entire house. I mean, look at this. Just the light green tone throughout that gives it a different vibe. Like I said, every room has their own character to it, especially this one. I mean, this is just a formal breakfast room, and there are multiple doors for backyard access. And you also do have a wet bar, another wet bar over in this corner. It sticks with the same light green tones with all the drawer space, the cabinetry. You also do have built-ins with a mini fridge down beneath. Don't mind if I do. Dark stonework here in the countertop and the backsplash, and a copper sink. Very similar to what we saw right next to this one, but through these doors, it leads up into another one. So as we enter this space, this living room, we initially see the carpeted flooring here, which is unique to what we've already been seeing. Multiple doors once again leading to the outside, and we have red walls in here. This is a great hangout space. You can use that library, relax, place to hang out after you finish eating, because it is right next to the dining room. There's doorway access right out to the dark fountain, the circular fireplace, another room and this will be considered one of your junior suites. Down here we have beautiful lighting, wet bar space with dark countertops, and we have that these doors that we have to discard, like I said, some parking areas that you can easily walk through this garden. Also, hey, try not to get lost, but I love all the shrubbery, the landscape out here, and without going in through the front of the house, so right from that garage, through this garden, and through this bedroom, and have direct access to the backyard. All very convenient. Head back inside and go down. Fireplace to my left, and following me out here past the I'm going to spend a lot of time here in this backyard, guys. Stick with me. We have an infinity water feature out here. It's not quite big enough to be a pool, but the water feature each side flows right down into this little river, into this lake. There's actually a monarch butterfly garden down there, a historical monarch butterfly garden that we're going to do a little walkthrough out for you guys as well. They're basically their own separate parks throughout this hump. We could go over there, but let's keep on moving. Leaving the living space back down the hall. This is the office room with of it, and you do have dark wood walls throughout with the copper ceilings above us. Four doors actually leading to the outside. Yet another fireplace here. So much shelf space. You can definitely make this a beautiful trophy room or a separate library space as well. Well, let's get out of here. Right outside of the office space, you walk up. Okay. Look at this entryway. We've got light fixtures down. this koi pond. This is insane. I've never seen anything like this, not only on this channel, but anywhere else in the world. Like this, you got the waterfall behind me with the rocks and live fish in this koi pond. Floating stone steps as a pathway to this freestanding tub. This is unbelievable. You've got some life surrounding us. Can you just imagine this tub, soaking it in on a great day like this and just living the dream, having a cup of coffee there, living the spa life?
I'll let your families know you will die like dogs!
Out here, and that would be your private garden. Now this garden is kind of like a maze because it's this rock pathway surrounded by this shrubbery, all of these bushes, and you have this stage for outdoor dining, and you get the expansive ocean view. Once again, all of your green grass out in the front, the water the mountains. It's such a clear day right now. Just take in this view, guys. Incredible. I really appreciate all of you guys for making it this far. This is just a nice, another beautiful, tranquil area of the home. But let's head back and show you the rest of the bedroom. Back inside here. Bathing in peace if you don't want to bathe outside. Win-win situation. We also have a large bringing in a sunlight in here, a couple of built-in speakers, a little makeup station, full shower as well with some of the coolest stones you guys will see. And then we have toilet room, water closet, and full walk-in closet as well with the same stone we see on the countertop that we're seeing inside that shower too. And let me show you the other bathroom. Right, and this is it. This is this bathroom. As you can see, guys, a little bit more
We will swim in nasty tonight!
Stone countertops as well as the flooring. And we see
Rolling
in the
waves,
room
take me
doors
home
with
to
the space surrounding us. Little accessory section in the center. Jewelry. And we have this door spaced up. Vanity is over on the other side with similar light.
For God's sake, abandon your ship while you still can!
The shower is with the also with dark. Sports bar, so one of the most impressive wine cellars you'll ever see. It truly has it all down here. And we're starting from this hallway where you can see is just laced with a red carpet. I mean, a red carpeted hallway in your own house doesn't get much more serious than that. And we also have these incredible custom light fixtures to both sides of the walls in this hallway. But I think directly straight, this is it at Disco Ball Night. I mean, check this space out. Have you ever seen anything like this right here? We got the disco balls on right now. All we need is a DJ, and I'd be ready to start dancing if you guys are down. They have events here. They have several weddings here as well. Many large parties of up to 4,000 people with several A-list celebrities that have been down here in this nightclub, in this ballroom space. I mean, just imagine the activities, the events that you could put on down here. It is truly remarkable. If you follow me up these steps, we have more tables to the back side with the bright, beautiful staging over here, and more room for the bar in the back. If you don't want to be hanging out on the dance floor, you can just hide out over here, have a cocktail back here in the bar in the corner. But follow me around, there's even more room to this side. Is just the second level hangout space up here in your nightclub. I mean, there's just so much room throughout this home. Almost 30,000 square feet throughout this entire property is astounding. But follow me back down that hallway. There's more to see down here. Back on that red carpeted hallway, follow me through these large wrought iron see-through doors. Head into this lounge. I mean, you've got a dining table in here, beautiful chandelier above, and just take a look at the ceiling detail in here. Copper ceiling with black accents, a few recessed lights as well up there. And now this is it, guys. This is something that you've never seen before. I can promise you that. This is your 6,000 bottle wine cellar. I mean, look at this. I mean, there are some studio apartments in LA, in New York, that aren't even the size of this wine cellar. 6,000 bottles of wine. Can you even fathom that? That is insane. We've really never seen anything like this. Like, I don't even think anything close to this. But what's next door? I think I might like a little bit more than this. Leaving that wine cellar. Now, this might be one of my favorite rooms throughout the house. I probably already said that a few times, but this is your very own personal restaurant and sports bar. I mean, check out this place. We're starting over here where you have a little lounge area with some sofas, flat screen TV up on the wall. And then here's your bar in the center, another large flat screen TV. Just imagine having people over, everyone's sitting at this bar. You can probably have maybe 10 to 12 people sitting at this bar, elevated countertops with the dark stone, symmetrical looking bar top, and we have a large copper sink down here on the countertops with the dark stone backsplash as well. Have all of your bottles on both sides with the glass shelving, a mirrored background there. 2 built-in refrigerators and a built-in fridge down here beneath. And we have nice wood paneled cabinetry down there as well. Another built-in fridge and then a built-in wine cellar right here. I mean, there's just no shortage of space here. You gotta have, it's basically your own private restaurant, your own personal sports bar down in your basement, right next to your 6,000 bottle wine cellar. I mean, I can't get over that. That's insane. But keep following me around. More flat screen TVs up on the wall, and as I come up these stairs, we can look at the wood flooring with a herringbone pattern to the wood floors down beneath us. And these doors lead directly out to the pool. You can already see the amazing views of the polo field, the Infinity Edge pool, and the palm trees above us. This is just another space of the restaurant with more seating, more flat screen TVs to both sides. I mean, this is just basically having a Buffalo Wild Wings in your own property. But let me also show you what's right outside this sports bar before we go to the backyard. So also outside of the sports bar, right back to that red carpeted hallway, is something pretty cool down this way. We have 2 bathrooms to both sides of me. We have a women's bathroom to my left with 3 stalls and 3 sinks as well. Beautiful chandelier here in the center. And then we have the men's bathroom on the opposite end with darker wood features, 2 urinals, and 2 stalls also, so that if there are people hanging out in the restaurant, you can easily just go into this space and use your own bathroom like if you're actually in a real restaurant, but you have it here in your own personal home, which is unbelievable. Directly through these double doors, we have entertainment room. This is your billiards room. I mean, look at the scale, the size to this room, where all that we have is a pool table. I mean, I just gotta test it out, guys. We're showing you this entire property. I just gotta break one real quick for you guys. If you are watching this far into the video, please hit the subscribe button and hit the like button as well if you made it this far. Let's see one take if I can make a ball or 2 right here.
I know we can do that.
Oh, what? That might have been the best shot of my entire career right there. That was pretty impressive. One take. I hope you guys saw that right there, even though it was the 8 ball. I think it was in the wrong space. Now as we wrap around this room, over in this corner, these doors lead into your home movie theater. Now if you take a look at this theater, it definitely gives you old school, maybe 1950s vibes in here with the blue recliners, with the blue carpet down beneath us. We have 5 levels of stadium seating and an absolutely massive projector screen up on the wall. I mean, check out the scale to the projector screen behind me. I'm about 6 foot tall right here, and this projector screen has got to be maybe 12 feet or so. I don't even know. But I am a big fan of the color scheme in here. Like I said, it's giving me old 1950s vibes with the blue contrasting well with the red walls, and you can see all of the built-in speakers to both sides of the walls as well. As we look in the back of the home movie theater, we have a wet bar with a candy station, a couple of floating glass shelves over there. Follow me out of here. There's more to see, and I can't wait to check out that backyard because I can't wait to do some golfing on that polo ground right there. So let's get out of here. As we head up these stairs, I mean, I want to briefly touch on the flooring. This is very nice looking, sleek, modern tile on the floor as well. But this room right here is literally the spa waiting room. Have you ever seen a spa waiting room in your own personal home? And you have a chandelier above us. So if you're waiting to get a massage, waiting to use the spa, the gym maybe, you can just hang out right here by these Paris Hilton. Something to think about. But follow me down this hallway to the right side. This is it. This is your spa room. And this is your massage room. Close off this door. Get a nice massage right here. Bring on the masseuse and just relax in peace. Have your privacy in here and on the opposite side. This is where you can have a manicure, pedicure, get your hair done, whatever you need to do. Full spa room down here right next to that entertainment level. There's also a full shower over in this corner, as well as an infrared sauna through this door. I mean, take a look at that. This is immaculate right here. I kind of want to just turn this on and use it maybe a little bit later, not today, but it's got everything you'd want in this personal spa room, as well as a gym that is right next door. As we step into here, the walls are paneled with mirrors, built-in speakers as soon as we enter, a few flat screen TVs, and you have pretty much every machine that you would want in a home gym space. This is just perfect. There's also built-in refrigerator and just more waters. Always gotta have the essentials, guys. You know, gotta hydrate, especially if you're gonna be in this gym. Have a nice workout after taking on the views of your property. I hope you guys have been able to keep up with the floor plan throughout this home as well, but we have to now go check out this backyard. So leading out of the gym, we have these curved archways for just some covered patio space out here with these candlelight light fixtures above me. Before we show you the rest of the backyard, this is actually part of the guest house, guest room. So through this door, we have entered the guest house, where we see carpeted flooring. We see pretty different light fixtures than we've been seeing. Doesn't give you the old school classical vibe, but we do have some built-in speakers. Just your typical staging, lots of access to the outdoors. And then through here, we have a full bathroom, built-in shower and bathtub in there. There's also a wet bar here in this room. And then right to the left, this is the bedroom. But let's get out of here. I think it might be time to show you guys the backyard. Okay, this is it. Now we are going for a long journey here in this backyard, about 20 acres. Follow me along. We've got the home dog Jax right next to me as well. Come over here, bud. We'll meet him eventually, but there's more to see. If you look to my left side, we have that water fountain feature with the infinity edge and this waterfall flowing down into this little river. As you can see right here, this is just a grand walkway with the trees to both sides of me as we go down to this little pond. There are multiple koi ponds as well throughout the house with live fish in them. And there it is, the local dog at the house. Oh, be careful there, buddy. It's all right. Just having a nice drink in the lake, in the river, but follow me around this side. As we look around the property, I mean, you'll just see the features that make this home what it is, such as the detail of the railings for the staircase to come down here.
Hello,
Lots of grass, more trees. I mean, you can imagine what it'd be like when the trees are blooming in the springtime. And then there are multiple ways to access down into that polo field, but if you follow me around, we're gonna show you that infinity pool. So as we make this walk onto the balcony, right as we enter through the front doors, you see the massive columns in the center. We can see the infinity pool, the 10 football field, polo field, which is insane. Unbelievable ocean views behind me. And this balcony is extremely large as well. It actually leads us all the way down steps into that pool house section of the backyard. We also have a couple of water features, such as this right here with the lion's head above it. And as we take a look at the side yard, it's more privacy. With the stove top on the left side as well, which is pretty hidden here in the back. But let's keep on going. So here we are, we just made it to the opposite side of the house, leveled with the pool. I just wanted to show you guys the view of what the home looks like. I'm sure you're gonna get a lot more shots of the views of the home. Look at that, I mean, that is insane. But first off, we do have a pool house on this side with a lot of covered patio space, very high ceilings to this covered patio area with several columns surrounding us, more staircases that lead down to the polo field. We've got Jax just on our tour as well as the co-host right here with me. So I guess he'll just follow along. But also there are smart features in this home, such as the iPort iPad up on the wall where you can control a lot of the features, the sound system, the lighting, and all that good stuff. So here inside the pool house right behind me is where your bar is. It's a beautiful dark stone house. A lot of built-in wood features and the tapestry above us. Of course, we've got built-in mini fridge, your sink, dishwasher in there, everything that you need in a full kitchen. But this time it's in your pool house. Go figure. Full fireplace as well, right underneath your large flat screen TV. There's also a bathroom in here with bright features in the stone detail on the flooring. Don't you earn your fucking skylight of this pool house as well. And of course, as always, as we've seen in every room, several doors and edges. So you can tell how it'd be very easy, very convenient to have a bunch of people over, a bunch of guests, and you wouldn't even know where they are. Property so large. Let's get out of here. So as we exit this patio space, just once again, take a look at all the colors really surrounding us. But we gotta take a look at how this pool looks during this time of day. I don't think we could have filmed this on a better day, honestly. You can see expansive ocean views, barely even a cloud in the sky. We even have Jack still following me around right here. This is one of the largest pools you will ever see. Take a look at it. The size of Olympic swimming pools, Olympic lap pools times 3. But they're just from this angle as well. And in the very center, you have your jacuzzi, your curved jacuzzi, taking on all of those views of the polo field and all of the stables over there in the distance. That almost, it seems like it's a mile away. We'll go there in a bit. What do you think of the pool, Jack? Try the water out and let me know how it tastes. You got him testing out for me because I'm not going to jump in this suit right now. But I think he likes it, so I think it gets a 10 out of 10 so far. But let's keep on moving. And I think I want to go down to where the golf course is on the lower half. Going down the stairs, we've arrived to where most of the property is here in this backyard. We're greeted by yet another Greek god sculpture, this statue right here, this circular pathway, all of these bushes surrounding us are just what makes this property unique. All of the trees that just line the staircase right next to it. We're also right next to a pool. Don't let them get away! And behind me is the polo field and the golf course that we're going to go. Alright guys, we're down here on the golf course and next to one of the coolest putting greens I've ever seen. I've really never seen putting greens in a home with this much circulation, this much slope to them. It's almost like the real thing. As well as a full-size bunker. I often see bunkers in a home. Also had to take off the jacket because we gotta get some hacks in, get some swings in, see if my game, see if I still got it right here. I kind of launched that one, but see if I'm better on the putting green and on the range. All right, here it is, guys. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 holes on this putting green. Like I said, slope to them. Like I said as well, 10 football field is how big this grass space is. Absolutely incredible. Santa Barbara mountains surrounding us, and here we go. Let's see if I can make one. If I make this, you gotta like, you gotta subscribe. Let's do it. If I also miss this, you gotta like, you gotta subscribe as well. One more try, and well, you know, better luck next time. But also, not only do we have a putting green, we have a driving range. I'm honestly speechless right now. I don't even know what to say. Driving range that we can actually hit some balls on. The house is right behind me. I'm gonna take a few likes right now, guys. Hit the subscribe button if you're not subscribed already, because how many house tours have this in them? Bombs away. So we're leaving the driving range. I mean, that was so much fun. I was gonna spend more time there. We probably will as the sun starts setting. I gotta hit a few more balls. But check out this driveway that leads all the way down to the horse stables, to the polo clubhouse that we'll be checking out. After we checked out on the butterfly garden in front of me. But first off, to my right, beautiful waterfall features surrounded by all landscaping and several trees around us, giving you just 4 tranquil areas to relax. You know, even the dogs, Jack's was hanging out in the pond, and that is koi pond too. From there, as we make our way up, this pathway on the left side leads us down into your secret great garden. Okay, here it is. This is the start down these. This is still all your property. Look at this. I'm going to show you guys what's down there. As we come down these steps, I mean, there's so much space down here. We've got another waterfall behind me. We have this curved pathway. And of course, you're going to need it to be maintained every single day. We're going to have people working on the property, on the landscaping out here to keep it this beautiful. But keep following me to that bridge. Right next to us, we also have a few horses just enjoying the outdoor life. Right next to us, ocean views. Another waterfall as we walk across the bridge. We look down onto the ponds, the rivers that surround us. Areas that I've never seen in any property. Pretty much never. You know that I've been to property in the past. Follow me this way. This tree just looks like a nice space to put a chair underneath, hang out, lounge around, just enjoy life in general. And as we get down here, we also do have a lot of weddings that go on around this property on pretty often occasions. Can you just imagine having an outdoor party, wedding venue out here, all the way in the distance, as well as more grass space that we'll show you guys. I'm a big fan of this turf pattern below us as well. That is turf, not real grass, a little easier to maintain than the rest of the property. You can really plant whatever you want. Beautiful flowers, beautiful features surrounding us, massive trees, and here's your private lake behind us. This is incredible. As we keep making our way around this garden, to my right, you can see there is another motor gate where you can have a car enter. Some of the maintenance guys can come through that pathway. We have a nice lily pond here where maybe we'll catch a frog or two just jumping around on the pads. Yet another bridge, and then to my left, you can see that beautiful fountain, that water feature in the middle of that pond, of this massive lake here that you have on this property. I mean, from this angle, guys, come on over here, come check it, come check this out. This is just unbelievable. I can't believe we're still at the same house that I've been showing you the entire time. Aside from this lake, there's actually another lake. Just quick preview of this other lake over here. Another portion of your garden where you can imagine people having events, having weddings at, and just more of a private pond without the water feature in the middle, a little more secluded than what you see in the garden as well. All right, guys, I think we just showed you the majority of this Monarch butterfly garden, and now it's time to go back up to the driveway and head down to the Polo Clubhouse and Guest House. I hope you guys can see from a few of these shots how long this driveway actually is. I mean, check it out. We're going through one gate in front of us, and then there's an opening to the right side, and then we're passing a second gate before we enter into the Polo Clubhouse. All right, guys, here we are. We have made it to the Polo Clubhouse. Two-bedroom apartments on both sides of this structure. I mean, first off, check it out. trophy display in front of us and staircase to my right. So let me show you what's up here. Walking up to the top floor here. Now you can just see the history behind me. I feel like you can just feel the history in this polo lounge, in this clubhouse. We've got a few pieces of artwork. We've got more dimmed lighting. And before we show you a couple of the rooms and the rest of what is up here behind me, this leads you directly out to the field. So this clubhouse and the polo field was built in 1998, and then the home behind me was built in 2000. The current owners moved in 2004. So just fun fact, some history. And you can actually really never build this again. Just take it in. Can you imagine just the games that'd be going on right here? And the home looks immaculate from this view. I honestly can't believe this right now, guys. This is insane. All right, so as we cross the polo field, I'm sure I'm gonna find some of my golf balls back here because I hit a few pretty far, guys. But over on this side, we have some outdoor dining, barbecue area, slow cook right here, countertops, and we have this beautiful stonework on the sides of this space. But if you want to have a meal during or after one of the events, you can easily do that comfortably right here with all of the outdoor dining, the outdoor seating that they have. But let's just head back inside. As we're back inside, up those stairs, this is your entrance. I love this centerpiece right here, another statue.
Let the plundering begin!
Pretty much where the players can hang out before the events, before they get ready to get out there on the field. Space. Here more than dimmed lighting.
Marcos! Keep going!
Expect from your typical bar, with beers on the walls, floating glass shelves on both sides.
We now have what was there!
Love As the center again, over here we just have an office space, desk space in the front. It's a nice greeting as you walk into the center of this structure, but as we keep going, pretty similar to this side, just more storage to the side. This is the head office. It's not the lounge. Very similar size to the lounge. To the right, but that was everything. That was incredible. This is something very unique. I don't think we lost. Let's get at this right now. Head back. So as we walk out of the front door to that structure, I just wanted to show you guys what it looks like with palm trees from both sides of this property. This is insane. This is insane. We already saw the main house. Way up the hill over there. We're going to show you the rest of what this has to offer. Pretty similar to this right wing as well.
Nobody will never be found!
Los Angeles, probably around $5,000 a month for this 2-bedroom apartment. Solid size, full kitchen once again, whirlpool and crib here. In this kitchen, we have a bathroom down here, and we have plenty of storage space out. Upstairs is pretty much the exact same thing we saw on the opposite side, so we won't show you on that side. Another bathroom up there in between both. But let's get out of here. I gotta show you the structure right next door. Another structure where places to show you guys. Just want to show you everything here. The cool thing about this driveway, this lot, is that to my left side there's another gate, another access point, entry or exit for any people that are just arriving on the driveway to watch a match, or anyone that's doing service, maintenance, and all that good stuff. So heading into here, where we'll find a lot property from this angle. Wrap up this tour. I mean, I hope you guys stuck until the very end. If you did, if you do that right now, that'd be great. Also, hit the subscribe button. Just like this every single week on this Crystal Clark for Team Yvonne. We really appreciate it a ton. And I'll see you guys on the next one.
Florida. This newly constructed modern estate is located on the famous Intracoastal Waterway. Stunning architecture, amazing indoor-outdoor flow, incredible views. It's going to be a fun episode. Let's begin. Alright everyone, let's start our tour. We have this walkway taking us all the way to the front door. On my right hand side we have a spacious driveway that leads you to the 4-car garage. Above that is actually the second floor guest suite, but they converted that guest suite into a gym with its own private balcony, beautiful cantilever roof lines, and on the left hand side we have this long section which is your additional driveway. It has its own gate, that way you can park extra cars here. Palm trees framing the entry. Landscaping looks stunning, and on each side of this walkway we have water features. This one is actually a water wall, so it really sets that nice relaxing tone before you enter the home. And on the right hand side we can see the second water feature. I like the light colored plaster, and those are steel sunshades which help diffuse the sunlight going into the house. And it's just a nice architectural detail. It almost gives this modern home a little bit of an Art Deco feel. Then on the exterior, you can see this cantilever section. Those are guest suites, beautiful modern lines, stucco finish. That's your glass elevator right there. And look at all these massive glass panes. And lastly, we have the glass table door here, leading us to the great room. This is a phenomenal space with 25-foot high ceilings. We have the seating area here, dining area on the other side, gorgeous chandelier above, great volume, and of course we have these sliding glass doors opening up to your backyard and to these amazing views, which we'll cover later. First, I want to talk about the seating area, sectional couch, 2 chairs. This corner chair really fills in the space nicely. You have this beautiful coffee table, and then your 12-foot linear floating fireplace. I say floating because this fireplace doesn't have any columns. That way, you get this true open feel. You have the glass on the other side, which faces the office, and this stone wall continues all the way to the ceiling. In fact, if you look at the house from the front, you can see the stone wall taking all the way to the front and all the way to the back of the home. So it's this continuous architectural feature, which I really like, especially the fact that house is mostly lighter tones, so it creates a beautiful contrast throughout. You have the second floor here, that's actually your primary bedroom balcony, and you have a bridge on this side with more glass railing. That way, light can travel through the space and make the home feel as open, as airy as possible. Now, let's focus on the other side for a second. Beautiful dining area. I love this table with glass top, and the way these legs are bolted to the table is actually very unique. You have seating for 12. These posh and comfortable chairs really give this dining area a nice energetic feel, I'm gonna say. And then you have this art piece above. Now, this is a really interesting detail because the size of this art was so big that they actually did this piece on site, meaning they didn't actually bring it because you would have to take the entire front of the home out in order to put this piece in. Part of the home now, it's an architectural detail, it's not an art piece anymore, but it certainly gives really great texture to the great room. Now we want to take a moment
This video is a response to criticism of the Three Body Problem TV show. While I agree major ideas were not communicated well in the show, with proper context, they are actually brilliant. So let's begin.
There is one scene in episode 5 where a bunch of people are on a ship being cut apart by razor-sharp, super strong wires in a very violent fashion. So instead of sending in the SAS quietly at night to infiltrate this boat full of untrained civilians to acquire it, which, might I add, is what they are specialized in doing, no, instead he thinks a better option is to slice the boat into 1,000 pieces and hopes that this hard drive will somehow not be destroyed by all this damage.
Attempting to infiltrate the ship with special forces was deemed infeasible, as the ETO would likely erase the drive's contents long before the control room could be located. The nanofiber weapon was considered the ideal solution because by the time the ETO became aware of the intrusion, it would be too late, as everyone on board would have already perished. Moreover, the nanofibers were strategically positioned 50 centimeters apart, reducing the likelihood of damaging the drive to approximately 4%, a risk that the PIA found acceptable.
Who gives a fuck that Scientist A likes Scientist B and is just waiting for an opportunity to tell us such?
The love between the two scientists is actually essential. It's the reason PIA sends his brain to intercept the Trisolaran fleet, the same reason why Trisolarans capture and rebuild him, hoping they could use his affection for Jin to undermine humanity. Otherwise, they'd just let him float in space. The PIA search for someone who's loyal to one person, not to humanity, because someone who's loyal to humanity would never be considered by Trisolarans.
This trip is going to take 400 years before they arrive, as they can only go 1% the speed of light, which doesn't really make much sense, since they clearly have bullshit technology that can do anything, except for this apparently.
They can't travel faster than 1% of the speed of light because of the mass of the fleet. It would require almost infinite amount of energy. The fact that they can move large fleet at 1% of the speed of light means that they're Type 2 civilization on the Kardashev scale, which is what the show portrays them as, not a Type 3 civilization.
As one moment, this all-powerful threat that can do almost anything it wants and seems to be unstoppable will somehow fail to kill a single scientist and ends up running over his girlfriend instead. This threat is so powerful it can drive people insane and can hack all electronic devices in the world simultaneously whenever it wants, meaning it could crash planes already in the sky or take over the world's nuclear arsenal if they wished, and yet somehow it is unable to kill this clueless scientist.
Sophons, due to their subatomic nature, can only interfere with objects and phenomena that occur on a subatomic level, such as particle accelerators, digital screens, and the human retina. However, their influence does not extend to larger objects like airplanes, as these do not function on a subatomic level. Furthermore, as Sophons travel at the speed of light, they are unable to occupy multiple locations simultaneously. Recognizing this limitation, the PIA initiated the construction of a particle accelerator on the Moon, thereby making it impossible for Sophons to interfere with all particle accelerators concurrently.
They then plan on having a human brain being frozen and placed inside a satellite, which is propelled to 1% the speed of light, using 1,000 nuclear bombs to do so. They are doing all of this so that it can reach the alien fleet before they arrive on Earth. Now, it is their hope that the aliens will take it on board with them to study, as they believe that somehow this human brain will be able to help stop the aliens.
The PIA's plan to send the brain was their only hope of undermining the Trisolaran fleet because it introduced uncertainty, which was the one weapon the Trisolarans couldn't counter. Since the brain's allegiance was unknown, the Trisolarans would be forced to try and use it against humanity instead of destroying the probe. When all actions and conversations can be spied on and countered, uncertainty becomes the only way to fight back. Introducing as many variables as possible into the battlefield increases the chances that chaos will tip the scales in favor of humanity.
3 people have been chosen out of everyone to construct a plan to defeat the aliens, and get this, they must build this entire war plan entirely inside their heads without telling anyone about it, nor can they write it down.
The rationale behind the creation of Wallfacers was due to the United Nations recognition of the necessity for an unpredictable command structure. Sophons possess the capability to potentially observe and listen to all activities, thereby necessitating that any significant defensive operation be enigmatic and unforeseeable to everyone except the individual in command. As a result, only one person could be granted command of any major defense initiative, while everyone else would be required to carry out the operation without knowledge of the underlying purpose. This strategy was the only method through which the United Nations was able to distribute nuclear bombs throughout the solar system, as neither the United Nations nor the Trisolarans were aware of the genuine reason for doing so. Both the United Nations and the Trisolarans assumed that the distribution of nuclear bombs was intended to defend against an invasion. However, the actual objective was to detonate the bombs in a Morse code pattern, which would alert every other civilization in the galaxy to the existence of our solar system, rendering it valueless to the Trisolarans.
Halo has a rich and expansive storyline that's only getting longer, and we've arbitrarily decided to cram it all into 5 minutes, so we better get started. 5 minutes? Oh, God! Alright, here we go. 100,000 years ago, humanity spanned the Milky Way galaxy, but there was a problem. An insidious parasitic life form known as the Flood spread to so many species so rapidly it was looking like they'd soon be the only players on the board. While retreating from the Flood, humanity encountered a planet occupied by Forerunners, a species led by a dude called the Didact and his wife, the Librarian. The Didact knows humanity, and he's not a fan. In fact, he finds them unworthy to receive the Mantle of Responsibility, which is a traditional role in the galaxy where advanced species look out for lesser ones. The Didact and Forerunners stole the mantle from an even older alien race called the Precursors by wiping them out. Hypocrites much? Anyway, there's a big war between the Forerunners and humans, who are both also being assaulted by the Flood, and the humans lose. The Forerunners de-evolve them and revert them back to caveman times as punishment, seeding an obscure planet called Earth with the human survivors of the war. But they still have the Flood to deal with. The Didact's plan are these fake planets called Shield Worlds, and an army of warriors called Prometheans made of the consciousnesses of Forerunner warriors implanted into synthetic bodies by a device called a composer. He gets outvoted though, and the Forerunners instead build an array of super weapons floating in space designed to wipe out all life in the galaxy at any time if need be in order to stem the tide of the Flood. These weapons are giant terraformed rings in space called Halos, collectively known as the Halo Array. The Didact goes rogue when he's ordered to dismantle the Shield Worlds, steals the composer, and heads to Earth, intending to compose all the remaining humans to swell the ranks of his robot army. Incidentally, being a robot makes you immune to the Flood's parasitism, so he kind of has a point on that front. The Forerunners foil the plan with the help of the Librarian, who sells out her husband, believing archival of every species in the galaxy is the way to go. Instead, read the Flood. The Didact is imprisoned on one of his own shield worlds called Requiem, along with his loyal Prometheans. Not sure why you'd bury Hitler with an army of loyal Nazi soldiers right next to him should he ever awaken, but okay. Meanwhile, the Flood continues to evolve and grow more intelligent, and the Forerunners build an AI named Mendicant Bias to help strategize against them. MB immediately decides to test the Halo Array by wiping out all life on one random planet, Alderaan style, which doesn't bode well. Indeed, a Flood Gravemind, which are the things that represent the combined consciousnesses of millions of Flood, reaches out telepathically or technopathically to Mendicant and convinces it to turn evil. That means the Forerunners are up against the Flood and their own AI war machine, which renders the war essentially hopeless. As a last-ditch effort, the Forerunners build Installation 00, aka the Lesser Ark, which both stores the DNA of a bunch of species and pumps out new halos. It sits just outside the galaxy, so that even if the Halo Array is fired and the Flood finally ended, the life stored there will survive. You know, like Noah's Ark. Although how Forerunners named their thing after something from our Bible long before the Bible was ever written, I don't know, but okay. The Ark constructs 7 halos, dubbed the Final Array. The Forerunners trigger it, etch-a-sketching the galaxy clean of life, then teleport clones of each species back to suitable planets to begin again. Humanity's portal opens on Africa, and Halo's history finally starts to match up with the actual history of humans on Earth. This is us. This is the line of humans we come from. Okay, so 2,500 years later, humanity has once again become a spacefaring species, not knowing that this is like the second or third time they've done that, while the Forerunner civilization lies forgotten and in almost complete ruin. Humanity, thinking itself alone in the galaxy, has its own problems. Colonies on the outer edges of human space feel oppressed by the older core worlds, and a civil war is well underway. Dr. Catherine Halsey of the UNSC forms the Spartan II Project, a military operation that kidnapped a bunch of kids, replaced them with clones IRL so their parents wouldn't miss them, then subjected them to brutal experiments experiments to turn them into hulking super soldiers. Originally intended to crush the rebels / fight terrorism depending on how you view things, the Spartans later became much more important once we made First Contact. And this time, First Contact would be with a race comprised of many races, all bundled together into a galactic army with nefarious goals and plenty of weaponry. This union of evil aliens calls itself the Covenant, and it's the Covenant invasion of a world called Harvest that sets all the events of the Halo series in motion. That's right. We just got to the content of one of the Halo games, specifically Halo Wars 1. This was all prologue, and I said it as fast as I could, and we're 4 minutes in. This is so okay, pushing forward. Halo Wars. So Covenant ships come and use plasma cannons to kill everything on Harvest and melt the soil into glass. It sucks. It turns out they targeted that particular planet because they lust for powerful Forerunner technology and artifacts, and a particularly juicy one lies buried on Harvest. It's a map leading to the locations of dozens of other also powerful Forerunner artifacts. The Covenant starts sweeping through the galaxy seeking these, wiping out any humans who happen to be on planets that they want to dig up. One human ship, the Spirit of Fire, under the command of Captain James Cutter, follows the Covenant fleet to a world called Acadia. While investigating Forerunner architecture there, Professor Ellen Anders is kidnapped by the Covenant and forced to activate a Forerunner dreadnought. That's because Forerunner tech, which they swiped from the precursors, is designed so that humans can activate it, but Covenant can't, since humans were the ones the precursors had intended to take over the mantle of responsibility. That's why you'll often hear humans referred to as Reclaimers in the series. They're the ones who are supposed to reclaim the mantle. The Spirit of Fire shows up, Anders escapes, and there's a showdown on a shield world. The humans discover flood infesting the world, so they detonate their own slip space drive to destroy the planet. This decimates the Covenant and prevents them from activating the shield world, which would have wiped out humanity. But without their hyperdrive, the SOF will take thousands of years to get back to friendly space, so the crew all freeze themselves and are considered lost in action. Most of humanity remains unaware of the flood until a little later during the events of Halo Reach. In that one, the Galactic Civil War has advanced apace, and now there's a Spartan 3 program. 3s are smaller knockoffs of Spartan 2s and aren't created by kidnapping kids. Noise. A squad comprised of some 3s and a 2 called Noble Team are sent to the planet Reach in 2552 to stop what they think is an insurrectionist plot, but which turns out to be yet another Covenant invasion of human worlds. Noble Team rescues Dr. Halsey, mother of the Spartan program, and fight to defend the planet, but soon realize the cause is lost. Halsey sends them to the ship Pillar of Autumn, along with a fragment of an advanced AI named Cortana. One of the Spartan 3s, June, escorts Cortana and the Doctor safely off planet while the rest of Noble Team dies in action. Sad. Halo Combat Evolved was the first Halo game ever released, and its story falls neatly into this spot right here. Fleeing the Covenant on Reach, the Pillar of Autumn makes a blind slip space jump and winds up near one of the Halo rings, known as Installation 04. Captain Key decides to activate a legendary Spartan 2 by the name of John 117, or Master Chief. Master Chief is ordered to protect the Cortana AI and flees from the Covenant as the Pillar of Autumn crash lands, ending up on the terraformed surface of the Halo ring world. Cortana leads John to the Halo's control room, where he uses the consoles there to try and locate Captain Key. Instead, he runs into the Flood, who have taken over most of the POA's crew. The Flood were held in captivity aboard the Halo, but the Covenant unleashed them by poking around. See, a bunch of the Covenant think that the Halos are religious artifacts and that they can transcend to paradise by activating them. Cortana and Master Chief then run into 343 Guilty Spark, a little sentient floating robot thingy that monitors the Halo installation. 343 tells them that the only way to wipe out the Flood on the Halo is to activate it, and helps them recover the activation index they need to do so. Right before pulling the ripcord on the Halo, Cortana discovers its true power, however, specifically that it'll...
It shows all that's happening in the Indian Ocean. Information is our thing. The helm has eyes and ears everywhere. If it's not here, it's not out there. I promise you, opportunities abound. From outsiders to locals and plain shipwrecks, all of them have plunder. Things change fast out on the water. Opportunities move between outposts and factions, so you need to be quick. Check the supply network. Chase some leads and scrape a few holds. Come back to me here with any sugarcane you find.
a name for yourself. Equip your ship with weapons to match your reputation. Let's keep our business quiet.
What will it be, Captain? More cargo? More navigation? Or more firepower? Sloops are popular among pirates. May the tide bring you back.
Crown would shine so bright.
My hands can craft you great things. What will it be, Captain? Asante sana.
Here, that was quick. You must enjoy my surly company then. You're not so bad for a rogue.
Wipe out all life in a 25,000 light-year radius. That's a big radius. Cortana sends Chief to detonate the Pillar of Autumn's fusion reactor instead, much to Guilty Spark's chagrin. The Chief finds Captain Key, who's been absorbed by the Flood and is midway through being turned into a grave mine, rips out his neural implant, and uses it to blow up the drive. As the Halo disintegrates like some donut Death Star, Master Chief and Cortana fly into the sunset. Or space set. Whatever. In Halo 2, Master Chief's well-deserved medal ceremony aboard a near-Earth space station is interrupted by Covenant forces, who appear out of slip space and seem to be surprised to find humans occupying Earth. John 117 helps lead a counter-assault, ultimately forcing the Covenant flagship led by the Prophet of Regret, a Covenant hierarch, to flee by going into slip space right on top of the city of New Mombasa, leveling it. Aboard a ship called the In Amber Clad, and under the command of Captain Keyes' daughter Miranda Keyes, Master Chief and crew chase after, finding themselves popping out right next to another Halo. It turns out the Prophet of Regret intends to activate the ring to wipe humans off of Earth, so Master Chief fights his way onto the Halo to the Prophet and punches him to death. Bet he's got one more regret now. Just then, a flying Covenant capital city called High Charity appears and starts to blast the Halo with plasma cannons. On board the city ship, a whole other storyline is playing out. See, when a member of the Covenant is disgraced, they are sometimes given the title of Arbiter and sent on important suicide missions to redeem themselves. Think of them as the Covenant Spartans. The Arbiter we care about, called the Arbiter, accepts his new title and is sent to wipe out the Heretics, a Covenant splinter group that broke off when they discovered the truth about the Halo rings, namely that they aren't portals to heaven, but rather death loops of destruction. The Arbiter, who does believe in the religious nature of the Halos, at least for now, runs into Guilty Spark while defeating the Heretics. 343GS to the Arbiter is a great oracle and seer of religious truths. Just as 343 is about to disabuse the Arbiter of this notion, a Covenant brute commander appears and captures the little bot. That wraps up that mission, so the Arbiter returns to High Charity, only to find that the political climate has changed dramatically since the Prophet of Regret got punched to death. The Sangheili, the Covenant race of which the Arbiter is one, have been dethroned as the official guards of the Hierarch class and have been replaced by brutes of the same sort that captured 343. The Arbiter stays on as Arbiter, however, and is sent on a new mission, recovering the activation index for this latest Halo ring. He heads to the library where the key resides and captures Captain Keyes to boot. That's 2 captured keys for those keeping track at home. Before the Arbiter can take possession, he gets ambushed by the same brute from before named Tartarus, who has in fact been ordered by the Hierarch to take him out and complete the dethronement of the Sangheili. Tartarus tosses the Arbiter into a hell pit, which in Greek mythology is also called the Tartarus, which is confusing, and he's caught by a full-grown Flood Gravemind. At this point, the Arbiter's story intersects with Master Chief, since Chief has also been captured by the same Gravemind. The Flood convinces Master Chief and the Arbiter to work together, since all 3 of them want to keep the Covenant from activating the Halo. The Gravemind teleports our bad boys right to the Halo control room, where Tartarus is about to use the Index and Captain Key to activate the ring. The Arbiter kills Tartarus, and they stop the Halo from firing, at least this time. But what's that? Unintended consequences. 343 Guilty Spark explains that aborting the firing triggered a system standby mode that allows all the rings in the Halo array to be fired remotely should they need to be from Installation 00, the Lesser Arc. That means even though this Halo isn't going to fire right now, the cosmic football has been fumbled and is live, and if the Covenant can leap onto the Ark before humanity does, they can really burn the galaxy down in a hurry. In the midst of all this madness, Master Chief also infiltrates High Charity, discovers a plot by the Prophet of Truth to attack Earth yet again, and makes the tough decision to give chase and save the world, even though it means leaving the Halo and putting the whole galaxy at risk. He leaves Cortana behind with explicit orders to detonate the In-Amber Clad, since that's the only way we seem to have figured out to blow up a Halo. He uses a fancy gravity catapult to shoot himself toward the Forerunner Dreadnought the Covenant have been using as their flagship, and plans to commandeer it back to Earth. Meanwhile, the High Charity itself has been evacuated by the Covenant and completely taken over by the Flood Gravemind, who keeps Cortana captive in the systems of the ship. Okay, Halo 3. Woof. So, Master Chief plummets into Earth's atmosphere, yeah? And he gets found by the Arbiter and Sergeant Johnson, his pals from Halo 2, right? Well, they find out that the Prophet of Truth returned to Earth in order to find a portal to the Lesser Ark that the Forerunners placed under New Mombasa. He plans to go through it and activate the entire Halo array at once, which it turns out is why the Covenant came to Earth in the first place. A battle ensues, but the Prophet and some of his forces are able to slip through the portal, just as a flood-infested ship crash lands with a message from Cortana urging Master Chief to head to the Ark post-haste. The UNSC fleet, plus 343 Guilty Spark, who has nothing better to do, all head through the slipspace portal and arrive at Installation 00 with the Flood hot on their heels and in pursuit of the Covenant. The Flood, arriving aboard High Charity, quickly infest the Ark, which is good because otherwise you wouldn't have had as much stuff to shoot at during the game. The Prophet of Truth captures Johnson and uses him as a human key, activating the Halo array. But before it can fire, the Chief and Arbiter strike yet another uneasy truce with the Flood, fight their way to the Prophet of Truth, and choke him to death. Mixing it up. Choking. It's the new punching. Master Chief deactivates the array, saving the galaxy, and the Flood immediately turn on him because, in case you forgot, they're evil. 343, Master Chief, and the Arbiter all escape and discover the nature of the Ark on their way out the door. Realizing that the Ark generates Halos and that it's currently in the middle of producing a new Halo to replace the one destroyed at the end of Halo Combat Evolved, they form a new plan to activate the Halo while it's still way out here, near the Ark but away from the rest of the galaxy. This would kill all the Flood aboard the Ark but leave the galaxy unscathed. Solid plan. They save Cortana from High Charity, blowing it up and killing the Gravemind. Everyone evacuates the Ark except Master Chief Johnson, the Arbiter, Cortana, and 343. Guilty Spark wants them to wait until the Halo is complete before firing it, fearing it will shake apart and destroy itself if triggered too early. But Guilty Spartan Master Chief has different ideas, wanting to fire ASAP since the Flood Gravemind is already beginning to rebuild itself. 343 kills Sergeant Johnson for trying to activate the Halo early. Chief flips out and blows up 343's current shell and activates the ring. As predicted, the ring wipes out the Flood but also shakes itself apart, forcing Chief to dramatically flee to the ship Forward Unto Dawn. As the FUD disappears through a slipstream portal, the portal closes, cutting the ship in half, with the Arbiter back in Earth space and the Chief and Cortana adrift in uncharted waters. The Chief puts himself into cryosleep and awaits rescue. 2 years later, Halo 4 kicks off with Dr. Halsey being tried for her crimes. Remember, she kidnapped those children and made them super soldiers? Well, Cortana finally awakens the Chief because their ship has been boarded by Covenant. John and Cortana soon discover that the Forward Unto Dawn has drifted into Covenant space near the Shield world Requiem, where the Didact has been imprisoned this whole time. A Covenant faction calling themselves the Remnants are attempting to awaken him. Upon scanning Chief and realizing he's a human reclaimer and therefore capable of making the tech work, the Shield world automatically opens a big hole in its surface and sucks everyone in, destroying the Forward Unto Dawn. John 117 awakens on the inside surface of the Inside Out planet. It's like a Halo, but rounder. To make matters worse, Cortana starts acting weird and explains the AIs undergo an aging process called rampancy. They don't age and die, but they eventually become corrupted and essentially go crazy, which has begun in her case. Ouch. To save Cortana, Chief is dead set on getting out of the Shield world and back to Dr. Halsey, who he believes can help. Chief fights his way through the Remnants and the Didact's leftover Prometheans, finally reaching the Cartographer, a mapping system that reveals there's another UNSC ship nearby, the Infinity. It flew through the hole in the Shield world and seems like their ticket out of here. Cortana and Chief attempt to warn the Infinity of the dangers, but can't make contact, and instead encounter a strange hovering metal object and then physically track down a signal they thought was a ship. Turns out it's the Didact's jail cell, which then opens, releasing the ancient asshole and giving Halo 4 its main antagonist. The Didact quickly overpowers Master Chief and declares the return of Forerunner Primacy galaxy. We'll see how that works out. After some more laser fights, Chief makes his way to the Covenant and Promethean alike to arrive at the real Infinity, where he meets a Spartan 4 called Palmer and the ship's commanding officer, Captain Del Rio. The new game plan is to destroy the gravity well at the heart of the shield world, allowing the Infinity to jump away. Just then, John has a vision of the librarian, Didact's wife, who betrayed him back in the day when he was no Power Man. She explains the whole history of the Forerunners from the beginning of this video. That is, chronologically, this is when the player learned all the stuff about the Forerunners. The librarian explains that now that he's awake, the Didact's plan will certainly be to grow the ranks of the Promethean players and composers to craft the souls of all the demons in the galaxy. You know, that classic thing. She also does some Wuxi magic that makes Master Chief immune to being composed. Double Captain Del Rio notices that Cortana's showing signs of rampancy and orders her handed over for reformatting or whatever, which the Chief doesn't cotton to. Instead, he steals Cortana and a Pelican ship and goes rogue on a quest to steal the Didact. He follows the Didact's ship through a portal to Ivanov Station, where a composer resides. The Didact immediately uses said composer to turn the whole crew of the station into ashes, then speeds toward Earth, planning to burn us or make us into evil robots, with Master Chief hot on his trail. The Didact composes the entire population of New Phoenix, which is a city, before rapidly going rampant. Cortana helps Master Chief fight his way to the Didact's inner sanctum, where he dispatches the Didact with a well-placed Forerunner pulse grenade. The Chief then manually detonates a nuke to destroy the composer, and Cortana teleports him away from the blast into nearest space, where he gets picked up by the Infinity. Sadly, Tinkerbell and Cortana also bids her old friend goodbye and fades away to parts unknown. Ultimately, the UNSC blames the Covenant Remnant faction for New Phoenix, rather than the Didact, who seems to vanish. After a long time apart, Master Chief is finally reunited with his original squad, Blue Team. They're sent on a mission to discover the origins of the composer, since it's such a threat. They ultimately discover the Composer's Forge, an installation that makes composers much like the Ark makes Halo. And guess who's there, turning the crank and pumping out composers? That's right, our old disavowed pal, the Didact. Chief kills him again, for real this time, and Blue Team destroyed all the composers and the Forge. But forget Yellow 3. Yellow 4 is gone now. Yellow 5 Guardians starts in the year 2558. The Covenant attacks have only gotten worse since the Prometheans have rejoined the fight. A team of shiny new Spartan 4s, Fire Team Osiris, are sent to kill Jewel Madama, leader of a Covenant splinter group that have occupied a planet called Kamchatka, and host Dr. Halsey, who fled to avoid the outcome of her trial from the last game. They take back the planet, kill Jewel, and recapture Halsey, who warns of a much graver threat on the horizon and tries to leverage that intel to make a deal. While on the mission, Osiris also witnessed something disturbing. Covenant seemingly losing control of their Promethean Forerunner foot soldiers. At the same time, Blue Team and Master Chief are off fighting Covenant in another part of space when John 117 suddenly receives a cryptic mental message from Cortana, radiating his nuts. So, once again against orders and doing what his random AI girlfriend tells him to, Master Chief goes rogue, this time taking Blue Team with him, and they all head to the planet Grid. Fire Team Osiris, armed with immobilization devices, are sent after them. This leads to a confrontation in which Chief takes out Rock, the leader of Osiris, and flips it on, immobilizing him with one of his own immobilizers. Blue Team presses on. Ultimately, they discover the existence of yet another killer Forerunner tech, Guardians, giant Leon Evangelion-looking angel robots designed to fly around, policing the galaxy with their super weapons. The first Guardian emerges on Genesis.
Don't show those bastards
who
they're dealing with!
This is a mysterious plane from which Cortana is operating. She claims that the Forerunners have cured her rampancy, but that's arguable because the new plan is to take control of the Guardians herself. You see, she thinks she'll do a better job of guarding humanity than, well, humanity. Classic Cortana. Fire Team Osiris travel to St. Helios, a Covenant homeworld, and help the Arbiter put down remnant forces there in exchange for his help catching up to Blue Team. To do so, they hitch a ride aboard a Guardian, which carries them to the staging area on Genesis. Once there, Osiris encounter another Forerunner monitor, O31 Super Witness, who's in the process of being remolded and just generally pushed around by Cortana. Not happy about that, O31 aids Osiris in reaching Blue Team, hoping they'll eventually kick Cortana out of the Witness's system. Teams meet again, and Locke explains that Cortana is attempting to usurp the mantle of responsibility for herself. The Chief tries to talk her down, but she refuses, immobilizes Blue Team, and kidnaps her. Fire Team Osiris recover Blue Team and return control of Genesis to Exuberant Witness, forcing Cortana to flee aboard another Guardian. AI across the galaxy suddenly start to pledge their allegiance to Cortana, but one AI, the control AI of aboard the ship Infinity named Roland remains loyal and makes an emergency slip space jump in order to escape her widening sphere of influence, because it's not a Halo game if it doesn't end with an emergency slip space jump that sets up the next game. This game ends with Blue Team and Fire Team Osiris meeting up again on St. Helios, along with the Arbiter, Palmer the Spartan 4, and everyone's favorite walking moral gray area, Dr. Catherine Halsey. Technically speaking, the events of Halo Wars 2 come a little later in 2859. After 28 years drifting in space, the Spirit of Fire, remember the original ship with Captain Cutter and Ellen Anders aboard, finally awakens. Upon doing so, they realize they've been forcibly transported to right near the Lesser Ark, or Installation 00. An aggressive Covenant faction called the Banished have occupied the Ark, and SOF forces begin a surface campaign against them while simultaneously trying to find a way to contact the sea. They finally realize that the Ark is currently mid-build on a replacement Halo. The new ring, called Installation 09, will inevitably teleport back to known space once it's complete, so the humans decide to hitch a ride when the time comes. In order to do so, they make their way to the control room aboard Halo 9 and disarm its weapon systems right before it jumps. Anders is left behind, and some of the Spirit of Fire's crew, but most are able to evacuate onto the ring in time. Unfortunately, rather than completing their ride back home, the ring is yanked out of slip space mid-jump by a Guardian, and that is the Halo story so far. As for the upcoming Halo Infinite, assuming it carries the same story forward, we've got to assume that pesky Guardian is under Cortana's control, and that Master Chief's attempts to cure her rampancy and prevent her from stealing the mantle will make up the main thrust of Infinite's story. That said, there are bound to be plenty of surprises along the way, and now you're properly primed for each and every one. Good hunting, Chief.
Party on! Dude Summer is here, and with it, the biggest show in entertainment, Comic-Con. And this year, it's on IGN. Starting July 22nd, IGN is giving you a front row seat to the geekiest celebrity panels.
I love this show!
The coolest merch, the latest trailers, and the biggest reveals from across the world of movies, TV, and comics. Whoa. Catch all 5 days of Comic-Con at home on IGN and IGN One on Samsung TV Plus.
LV didn't seem like much, to be honest. The sprawling habitat network spanned nearly 30% of the available surface of LV-31, an oblong planetoid locked in orbit amidst the asteroid belt of a nondescript gas giant in the Marcy system. LV got its name from the planetoid's own shorthand, but it got its funding from IMC. In fact, it was essentially a massive satellite corporate campus, the Inebrium Machine Complex, an influential industrial firm that entered into a partnership with the BXR Mining Corporation to establish a robust survey and mining operation that harvested vital natural resources from the surrounding asteroid field. In the wake of the Covenant War and the events that followed, the United Nations Space Command placed great importance on partnerships such as these as they sought to rebuild the fleets that they had lost. Julian Donny had come to the IMC after a brief stint in the military. Like many, he had been pressed into service near the end of the Covenant War, but after his initial 4-year deployment, he felt drawn back into the civilian sector. Sure, serving with Big Green was fine when it was easier to find the greater good, but once the Covenant wasn't the same planet-burning bogeyman, Julian was far more interested in finding a bit more autonomy in his own life. It didn't take much convincing to sign a survey and securities contract with the IMC. His familiarity with both industrial labor and military procedure made him an ideal fit for a variety of potentially hazardous assignments. LV had quickly become home for Julian, despite the remoteness of the location. He liked the people, he liked the routine, and there was just enough danger, just enough challenge, and more than enough pay. Especially after responding to this latest appointment. Enhanced security detail for a particularly high-value target on one of the nearby asteroids. So, what's the Time Hall BXR is so jumpy about? Julian finished fastening the final coil links and transfer seals on his suit before reaching for his helmet to boot up the Eternal Comms pack. It's supposed to be big, alien big. The answer, Abe, a seasoned veteran of IMC's Hazmat Corps and Julian's active field partner. Apparently 3 days ago, their deep sweep on Site 22 pinged back a massive Grade K deposit. That got Julian's attention. Abe's head tilted back the way it always did when he was prepping one of his patented one-ups. Older. Paused for effect. The really good stuff. Julian took a deep breath and gave himself an extra moment to do some math. The good stuff could only mean one thing. Fine Forerunner alloy. A potentially massive boon to the entire operation, including anyone who might help secure it. But his mind immediately shifted from the credit windfalls back to the task at hand as their group leader entered the ring. You two sealed up yet? Mox had been with the IMC for well over a decade and wasn't one for doing their bow before an excursion. The horse confirmed, Julian asked. He knew Abe had a tendency to jump the assumption gun when it came to things. Oh, it's confirmed with that. Mox tapped the status pad on the nearby pneumatic console and prepped for egress. Apparently, when the 120s they dropped finally blasted through the boundary layer, they found a lot more than they bargained for. What do you mean? It wasn't just something like cash. It was a whole damn ship. Well, that's the best guess for the moment, at least. Julian suddenly understood why the IMC was deploying several hazmat squads to the site. There was an actual ancient alien vessel entombed in the asteroid for years that long. There could be dormant tech that might suddenly not be so sleepy. When they started chipping away at the surrounding space rock and knocking on old doors. The crew made final checks on the equipment, prepared to board the IMC-branded Pelican dropship that would take them from Melbourne to Site 23. The Pelican gave a routine shudder as it made its final descent. It still wasn't exactly Julian's favourite part of the process, but he'd gotten more than used to it by now. Besides, as long as he had Aaron V's latest album blasting on his personal audio channel, a little dropship shimmy wasn't going to dampen his mood. After this payday, he said to himself, absolutely catching the next space liner to finally see them play live. There was still 20 or so seconds left on the song when the channel was overridden by Mox. Hey Rockstar, tray tables up, hit the gear. Abe snorted and looked Julian's way. That's the new V. On repeat, boyo, Julian checked his MK-50 sight on the pistol and refastened the tactile hatchet onto his chest plate. A few moments later, all clears were given, and the Pelican's rear troop bay doors lowered. As each member made their way out, they were greeted by a glittering starfield that made up the bulk of the vista, punctuated by the gas giants in white blue hue and the grey-brown surface of the asteroid itself. Dotting the immediate landscape were the EM-100 augers that the XR had installed to penetrate the outer rock layers. The 120s were often a miner's best friend, strong enough to break up the larger segments of rock, but precise enough to make delicate headway into more precarious or potentially volatile pockets of dense material. The augers further out in the landing zone seemed to be continuing unfettered in their progress. Any emplacements within half a kilometre finishing them. Julian and Abe followed Mox the short distance to where a group of DXR miners and engineers gathered near the mouth of a small cave. Some of the miners were attending to routine maintenance on their cutters, while others seemed to keep their eyes on the IMC Hazmat Corps with eager anticipation. After exchanging pleasantries and confirming identification clearance and order authorization forms with the BXR foreman, Mox wasted no time in getting to business. Do we have any idea how this thing ended, Rockrat? You kidding? The foreman grunted. Never seen anything like it. You'd think God himself painted this silverfish with a damn asteroid brush. Honestly, I don't even care how it got here. I'm just thinking about how we're going to get it out. The foreman glanced towards the opening, and Julian knew the look in his eye well when he turned back. This, my friend, is a retirement-grade find. And you're sure it's a ship? Julian asked. Orbital survey drones did a dozen different scans, and all turned up the same basic data. Maybe it's a ship. Maybe it's an interstellar vacation. Might not be sure of what it is. I sure as hell know what it's worth. As the conversation continued to align on protocol and procedures, Julian's attention wandered to the cave. It wasn't a natural formation, of course, but a circular opening of several meters in diameter. that had been bored in a striating pattern by the nearby augurs. Julian was eager to get closer and found himself suddenly and unexpectedly overwhelmed with a unique flavor of curiosity. His mental wonderings were cut short by the sound of Abe's voice. So, what's the plan, boss? Julian looked back to see his boss heading over, flanked by the rest of the IMC hazmat crew. The XR is going to re-establish a perimeter and recalibrate their equipment to see if they're able to open up this camp. Mox glanced down at their tac pad and began to assign squad positions. Lanson West, position 1. Canati, position 2. Louisia and Oswald, position 3. Abe, you and Julian are in position 4. Eyes open, comms open. We start knocking in fire. Julian was thankful for the dynamic tint on the visor of his helmet, because the pinpoint glare was becoming uncomfortable to look at for very long. It had been nearly an hour since the BXR contingent had begun their curated salvo of alternating beams from orbit emplacements and handheld cutters. But it seemed like the only thing they had successfully displaced thus far was Julian's patience. The foreman gave signal to hold fire, allowing their equipment to recharge and cool down while they reassessed the situation. Mox came over the IMC comm channel soon after. Positions 2 and 4. Make sure your heat seals are good to go and see how close you can get to the target surface. I want a closer look and better data on this thing. Beck confirmed the directive and the 4 operators began to head into the cave mouth. The target was only a dozen or so meters in, so the residual heat from the mining business was still quite prevalent. As they got within a few meters, they each started observational scans to log all possible data. Julian wasn't sure if it was the intense heat shimmering playing tricks on his eyes, but after a few minutes, he was sure he saw something strange happening on the target alloy's surface. It was almost like it rippled, a bit like liquid, but maybe even more like some sort of metallic skin. Hey, are you seeing this? Julian's partner was uncharacteristically silent. Abe? Julian turned back, and he realized he didn't need verbal confirmation. Abe's eyes were wide and fixed on exactly the same spot. What's in the actual? Abe's professional statement was cut short by Artie's own confirmation over comms. I'm picking it up too. 7 distinct points in the alloy. Wait, 9. Mox, you should probably come and see this. Mox joined them just in time to see the silvery surface of the ancient construct peel away on a fresh seam, as the top layer was pulled back like armored curtains. The new opening revealed the enigmatic interior of a Forerunner vessel. Of what class or purpose, no one present knew, but they were all immediately enamored. In moments that could have been mistaken for months, Mox radioed in. Positions 1 and 3, on me for an initial clearance sweep. Let's see what we're dealing with. Julian suddenly felt a pit of uncertainty in his stomach. Mox, you sure? Should we wait? For who? You want to give your old military buddies a call and hand this over to them? Or do you want to earn that payday we keep talking about? Mox looked directly at Julian. This is what we do. Who we are. The last of the black paintings by Earth artist Francisco Goya watched over the ready room of the Paris-class UNSC Saturn from within a protected container. The painting bore the image of the Roman god Saturn, gripping the bloodied, partially consumed corpse of one of his children. In the ancient myth, Saturn is haunted by a prophecy that he would be cast down by one of his sons, just as he had done to his own father. And as such, he ate them upon birth. Ghostly white figures held the sides of the tiny body, as if he possessed talons rather than human hands, kneeling in what seemed to be a dark cave. His mouth fully agape, his eyes appeared frenzied, bulging with shock, as if surprised to be caught in the middle of such a grotesque act. I always thought he swallowed them whole, Lieutenant Shafiq mused. Captain Alvarez did not turn to the painting, as he replied, "You're quite right, of course. That is what the myth tells us, but Goya saw the horror of the act in quite a different way. In his interpretation, they were devoured, bit by bit. Of course, we are looking at it far removed from its original context, regarding the political upheaval in Goya's time, the French Revolution, the Peninsular War, the Inquisition. all fascinating areas of Earth's history that in some ways resemble our own recent. Sudden alert interrupted the captain's well-rehearsed speech for new officers. Art was an easy icebreaker after all, and listening to their responses gave Alvarez some insight into how they thought. On-the-spot interpretations could reveal much about an individual's tactical acumen and way of thinking. It seems we'll have to pick this up later, Lieutenant, Alvarez said, straightening his uniform as he led Shelley to the bridge. To his credit, he immediately assumed his station and began analyzing tactical displays. The avatar of the Saturn's shipboard artificial intelligence was waiting for him at the central holotable, along with a visual layout of the asteroid's surface. Lycon bore the image of a man in a white gold toga, but his head was that of a wolf. Garbled distress messages from Site 22, Captain, Lycon reported. Contact with on-site team has been lost. Julian wasn't sure he knew what reality was anymore, but he knew it had a soundtrack. Screams. Vacillating, ever-present, skin-peeling screams. Whether they continued to come from mouth or mind, he couldn't be sure. And frankly, he couldn't care. He tried to recollect what happened, to anchor his thoughts. Not long after Mox and the initial group had gone inside the ship, the reports turned unintelligible, chopped, terrified. Beck and Artie had barely stepped foot beyond the craft's threshold to investigate before they saw Mox sprinting towards them. But it wasn't Mox. Not anymore. And they weren't the only one. Chaos immediately engulfed Site 22. The miners and civilian contractors trying to fight an unknowable enemy with construction tools. Julian tried his best to hold them off. His military training, although brief, had kept him alive in the vital opening moments of the conflict. The longer it went on, however, the more he questioned whether or not he even wanted to survive such an event. What the hell is going on down there? Alvarez muttered. Can you clean up the distress message? Attempting to now, sir. What played there was largely garbled static, mixed with irregular sounds of what seemed like small arms fire, and multiple voices shouting at once. After 36 seconds, the audio fell to silence, though the static remained, like ocean waves washing over sand. Alvarez turned to the central holotable and had Lycon bring up Site 22 security camera feeds. They cycled through empty vistas of the asteroid's surface before Lycon locked on to camera 16. The camera covered the view of a rocky moor, a circular opening, evidently created by a mining auger. It was the closest thing they had to the cabin where some kind of discovery had been made. Lycon had requested further information over 2 hours ago, but the IMC crew remained tight-lipped as they sought to verify their find. I don't see anything, Alvarez said. Lycon zoomed the camera's view into an irregular, shadowy shape. A dark trail smudged the ground behind it, and there appeared to be another figure, wriggling, flailing like a fish pulled onto land from the sea. The resolution took several moments to improve as Lycon locked up and looped the footage, but by the time it cleared, both figures had disappeared from the feed, but there was no mistaking what remained in the shot. There was a collective inhale among the bridge crews as their display received the image. Though few had encountered these monsters, all had some familiarity with the name of these nightmarish creatures, like the dark sailor myths of old. The miners of Site 22 had become a meal, and a vessel for a timeless creature, a monster that knew how to wait, and how to win. The Flood. Rules of the engagement are clear in the event of an incursion such as this, sir, Lycon said. Emergency contact protocol Upsilon must be implemented to withdraw all groundside units and limit the spread of the parasite. Withdraw? Alvarez repeated the guidance, dismissing it immediately. The only personnel on the ground are essentially unarmed miners. Our troop complement is more than capable of making short work of this infestation. Prep Fire Team Leviathan for deployment. Lycon growled. Need I remind you, sir, that even if one of the Spartans is compromised by the Flood, use of MAC rounds and fusion warheads is authorized to sterilize the area. And if we do that, we lose a massive deposit of resources that our fleets need to rebuild. We barely managed to get the home fleet back up to a few dozen ships, while the brass is demanding whole battle groups be assembled. Never mind the loss of material we've got on the ground and the site's proximity to LB-31. He squared his shoulders. I say again, and for the last time, ere to deploy. I am sorry, sir, Lycon interrupted, but in the event of a flood outbreak, protocol supersedes your command, per UNSC Regulation 14-372-01. If you're unwilling to comply, I'm authorized to remove you from... Alvarez's eyes widened, and what he said next came to his mouth almost as instinct. Override code phrase, actions, secundum, fide. Lycon went silent. His holographic avatar remained active, and he stood as if calmly awaiting the answer to a question he had asked. Alvarez glanced at the bridge crew, who were all looking at him from their stations with a mix of expressions on their face. He stood straighter to project his voice to the crew. Bring all stations to alert. I want a Hazop group deployed to support Leviathan. Make ready to form a defensive perimeter and hold the line. A lingering moment of tension hung in the air as none of the bridge crew immediately moved. Aye, sir, Lieutenant Shafiq spoke, turning his chair back to his station, and the others soon followed. Alvarez rested his chin on his thumb and sank into his command chair. His thoughts stayed with the image of the flood form, dragging its helpless victim into the cave. He felt the eyes of Saturn on his back, regarding him, with those wide, opalescent eyes, caught in his act of barbarianism. Julian was pretty sure he hadn't been infected yet, but he felt like his memories were becoming scrambled, just the same as he watched the UNSC forces depend on Site-22, like they were dropping in behind Covenant lines. He made out a squadron of Cyclops exoskeletons and several Hellbringer units as they began to torch the area indiscriminately, every bit as likely to incinerate other survivors as to deny the enemy potential hosts from beyond the perimeter. The magnitude of the initial find had necessitated a larger than normal contingent of staff assigned to Site-22. It meant that there had been ample opportunity for the parasite to satiate its appetite and rapidly increase its own numbers in the time it took for the UNSC to deploy. Not that it had been long, but it seemed like it was almost too late now. Julian grimaced. His sidearms ammunition had run dry, forcing him to resort to a nearby laser cutter. Glancing around, he felt the cold grip of dismay. He didn't know what he'd use after the cutter's charge was gone, and there weren't many other viable options. That's when he saw them. Myths, legends, Spartans. UNSC had seen fit to send a fire team of 4 chemically and cybernetically augmented super soldiers. Heroes that helped ensure the end of the Covenant War. Heroes their greatest enemies had feared. At that moment, Julian was struck by the dire enormity of the situation at Site-22. There was no way Spartans would be sent to any scenario where normal, everyday people were remotely expected to survive. The battle raged on, with Julian's heat seals constantly spiking to their maximum levels from the constant barrage of flame and firepower being brought to bear by the Hellbringers and Cyclops units. For a fleeting moment, he thought they might actually have a chance, that this nightmare was something he might wake up from. Then, the first Spartan fell. Overrun by the parasite, one of the UNSC's living weapons suddenly found itself going a new augmentation. Twisted into a champion of dormant darkness, Spartan's Mjolnir armor attempted to enact its countermeasures, pressurizing the hydrostatic gel layer to render itself immobile, and then detonated micro-explosives within the helmet, which shattered the Spartan's visor as it immolated the head within. And it still wasn't enough. Julian wanted to run, to cry, to hide, but he couldn't move. He couldn't tear himself away from the sight of a Spartan turning on its own kind. He couldn't stop watching in horror as it tore apart those it had once protected. And then it turned towards him, and Julian knew his big payday would never come. Captain Alvarez stared at the grisly scene that was playing out before him on the holotable and across numerous tactical displays. Horror, denial. He was rigid with them both. How could this have happened? A small-scale infestation of largely unarmed miners had cascaded into an outbreak that now threatened to overwhelm them. Once the flood had consumed everything they needed on the ground, their insatiable hunger would direct them to his ship, and they would be unleashed upon the stars. If that happened, it was game over, not just for humanity, but all life. and it would be his fault. The name of Captain Pedro Alvarez would live in unheard history as the man who unleashed a deluge of plague ships upon the galaxy. If any portrait of him was to be made in the future, it would depict him in Saturn's place. For so long, they thought of the Spartans as symbols of hope that could turn the tide against any enemy they faced, no matter how impossible the odds. But he never imagined how they could be twisted against them in the event the Flood managed to infect these heroes of humanity. No choice remained. Lycon had been right. Concerns about rebuilding the UNSC fleet paled in comparison to the situation that was currently playing out on the surface of Site 22. This is Captain Alvarez of the UNSC Saturn. He spoke on an open comm channel, and the nervous, sweating bridge crew turned to face him. I'm declaring Corruptor and Upsilon protocols.
Probably you.
All remaining groundside personnel have 7 minutes to withdraw from Site 22 as the Saturn moves into position. We will fire our arsenal of Shiva-class nuclear missiles. Alvarez avoided looking at Lycon, who had remained inactive since the captain had uttered the code word to neutralize the AI's attempt to usurp his command. Good luck, and Godspeed. Julian saw the world in a new way, but not Julian. Something different. Something more. His mind fought to be free, to understand, but it also embraced the longing for something else. Unity. A gift he sought to bestow on the others. He searched and scoured the surface of the asteroid, sifting through the bone and body at a rapid pace, looking for someone to share his new mind with. Ah, there's one. Abe. Devour. Deluge. Unity. Peace. We hunger. We find. We envelop. Searching. Seeking. More. As he began to open his friend's mind, the horizon began to glow. Captain Alvarez gazed at what previously had been known as Site 22. The view from the bridge was still engulfed in fire. Only a handful of dropships had managed to return, while the others, well, perhaps the detonation of the Shivas had been a mercy compared to what they had likely been reshaped into. He wanted nothing more than to return to his quarters and get to work on the bottle of Titan smoke he'd been saving for a time, but this would not be the celebratory drink he had envisioned, and it was a bitter realization that the twilight years of his career had culminated in his most brazen failure. He had already begun mentally rehearsing the court-martial that no doubt awaited him. Lycon remained inert and unresponsive. While Alvarez had known how to countermand the AI's attempt to usurp his authority, it had simply placed him into a